Chapter 77. Young Yute's eyes widened as he turned pale with fright. Under the countless shocked gazes of the audience, an incomparably domineering and eerie aura suddenly erupted from Chu Hen's body. The incomparably domineering, mysterious ice aura rushed out from the divine moon like a silver stream and surged toward Yang Yute, who was caught off guard. The temperature in the arena suddenly plummeted. With Chu Hen at the center, the temperature dropped to freezing point. The stage between the two was instantly covered with a thick layer of frost. This mysterious ice aura originated from the power of the ice moon demonic wolf's spiritual origin liquid, the king of beasts. After being refined by Chu Hen, he could already integrate it into his true yuan and use it. Although it was worlds apart from the true power of a king of beasts, it was still not something that Yang Yute, who was only at the third stage of the element opening stage, could easily withstand. The domineering, mysterious ice aura directly poured into Yang Yute's 8 extraordinary meridians. At the same time that the circulation of his true essence slowed down, even his movement became a bit sluggish. A playful smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. He raised the demon punishing spear in his hand and swept it forward. I've said it before, you don't have the right to make me endure. The rapid, wind-breaking momentum was unusually forceful. The demon punishing spear dragged a series of afterimages in the air. It was menacing and unusually ruthless. Yang Yute's expression changed drastically. He hastily crossed his arms in front of his body. Bang! The abnormally ferocious collision of power caused the space to tremble. The body of the demon punishing spear solidly swept across Yang Yute's arms, and the scattered quintessential energy immediately exploded on the stage. Yang Yute, who had forcefully withstood this attack, suddenly trembled, and the red quintessential energy wrapped around his arms quickly dissipated. Yang Yute turned pale with fright and anger at the same time. However, Chu Hen did not give Yang Yute any chance to regain his composure. He raised the demon-punishing spear once again and landed it heavily on Yang Yute's chest. Boom! A cloud of dust rose into the air. A large piece of cloth on Yang Yute's chest was ripped to shreds. His sternum was on the verge of cracking, his internal organs were displaced, and his chi and blood were surging. A salty taste filled his heart. Yang Yute was sent flying backward by the tyrannical impact. What? Everyone's expression changed drastically, and they couldn't help but stand up. Imperial Martial Academy's Shu Shiuro could not help but clench her jade-like hands, her eyes filled with surprise. Yu Qinyu, Mu Feng, Zhou Lu, Li Hui, and the others were even more shocked, their faces filled with disbelief. Buzz! In the next moment, before everyone could recover from their shock, Chu Hen once again raised the demon-punishing spear. The black primordial essence quickly climbed up the body of the spear, and from afar, it looked like a dancing flame. Yang Yute's pupils constricted and his face turned pale. He was extremely panicked, but at this moment, it was already too late, and the other party was powerless to resist. Bang! The heavy muffled sound caused everyone's heartstrings to tremble. The demon-punishing spear that was surrounded by black light landed on Yang Yute's body for the third time. A ring of violent energy exploded on the stage, and everyone's eyes constricted violently. Yang Yute's chest caved in, his sternum was shattered, and his internal organs were trembling. A large mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth, and the intense pain caused his eyes to crack and his blood vessels to burst. Bang! After 3 consecutive fierce attacks, Yang Yute was blasted down from the battle arena. He fell heavily on the ground, and a large cloud of dust was raised. The entire place was silent, and everyone was dumbfounded at the scene in front of them. Yang Yute, who was lying on the ground, was unable to move. He was in a sorry state, and blood was constantly flowing out of his mouth. He did not have the slightest bit of arrogance from before. No one had expected such an outcome. In less than 3 rounds, Yang Yute, who was so arrogant just a moment ago, was defeated so miserably. Although he did not lose his life, The degree of humiliation he suffered was not any better than Renchong's. Yang Yute glared at Chu Hen, who was on the stage with resentment in his eyes. The corner of Chu Hen's mouth curled up slightly, and he said calmly, "I'm sorry, senior brother Yang. I didn't control my strength, and my attack was a little too heavy." Hearing this, the people below the stage could not help but twitch the corners of their mouths. This Chu Hen was obviously doing it on purpose. Yang Yute's anger surged, and he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. His vision darkened, and he lost consciousness. Something unexpected happened in an instant. Looking at Yang Yute, who was lying on the ground like a dead dog, this was obviously a great mockery. Immediately after, Chu Hen held the spear in his right hand and placed it behind his back. His eyes that were as deep as a blade swept across the surroundings, and he shouted in a deep voice, "Who else dares to fight me? Who else dares to fight me?" The heavy voice was transmitted to everyone's ears, and it was like a surging wave pounding against their eardrums. Everyone's expressions changed again, and their gazes towards Chu Hen were filled with reverence. One was Renchong, and the other was Yang Yute. One was the rookie king of Imperial Style, and the other was the joint first place of Imperial Martial Academy. One was killed in front of everyone, and the other was heavily injured and unconscious at this moment. Who else dared to ascend the stage? Everyone's gazes turned towards the other first-place newcomer of Imperial Martial Academy, Shu Shiuro. As far as the eye could see, she was the only one left who had the strength to compete with Chu Hen. Shu Shiuro's beautiful eyes surged with a complicated light. She lightly let out a breath and stood up. The Star Elite competition has ended. Imperial Martial Academy will take its leave. What? Everyone was slightly astonished. If that was the case, then Shu Shiuro had chosen to give up. Immediately after, under Shu Shiuro's lead, the Imperial Martial Academy's team took the lead and left. Several students carried the unconscious Yang Yute on their shoulders and brought him away. Spirit Rhino Martial House will take its leave here. Bright Moon Martial House will take its leave first. The vast and mighty team started to leave, and the commotion below the stage became noisy and chaotic. On the side of Tensei Prefecture, excited cheers once again exploded out. "Haha, senior brother Chu Hen is mighty. Senior brother is too awesome. Good job." After so many years, Tensei Prefecture has once again seized the first place in the Star Elite competition. Mu Feng, Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the other new students of Tensei Prefecture directly rushed onto the stage, surrounding Chu Hen in the middle. "Haha, not bad. As expected of the second handsome under heaven, that's only inferior to this handsome Feng." Mu Feng patted Chu Hen's shoulder and said with a slight complacency, "Senior brother Chu Hen, I knew you would be able to make our Tensei Prefecture proud." Li Hui said excitedly. When everyone had just arrived, they were all dejected like frosted eggplants, listless and listless. Now, all their faces were filled with shock. Giant Elephant Martial House's Yu Chenyu also went up to the stage to congratulate him. "Congratulations. I thought I would be able to catch up to you after not seeing you for 2 months. Chu Hen smiled slightly. "I was just lucky." "TSK, that's not luck." Yu Chenyu pouted unhappily and then asked, "By the way, are you really not going back to Giant Elephant Martial House with me?" "Thank you for your kindness, but I'm fine staying in Heavenly Star." Thinking back to a month ago, Chu Hen was rejected by all the high-ranked martial houses in the Imperial City, and only Tensei Prefecture took him in. Logically, Chu Hen would not leave Heavenly Star and join Giant Elephant Martial House. "All right then, let's keep in touch in the future. I'm getting more and more interested in you," Yu Chenyu said with a faint smile. Her bright eyes and white teeth made her look elegant and charming. Chu Hen nodded with a smile. The people from the various academies dispersed one after another. A few people from Tifeng province helplessly left with Renchong's corpse. This time, the most famous Huang Wu and Di Feng had suffered an abnormally bitter defeat. Yi looked at Chu Hen, who was happily chatting with Yu Chenyu on the stage. Her expression became rather complicated, and a faint coldness surged in her eyes. Yi Yao also hesitated below the stage. She wanted to say a few words to Chu Hen, but she couldn't muster up the courage to do so. "Little Yao," Yi said coldly. Yi Yao clenched her small hands and looked at Yi Yu timidly. In the end, she anxiously followed the group from Tifeng province and left. Very quickly, the genius students from the various high-ranked martial houses had mostly left. After a simple chat with Chu Hen, Yu Chenyu also followed the group from the giant elephant martial house back. "Senior brother Chu Hen, let's go too," Li Hui said. Chu Hen nodded his head. At this time, a gentle voice came from below the stage. "Chu Hen." Chu Hen was especially familiar with this voice. His heart lit up, and he turned around, only to see a slender and elegant girl standing below the stage. Her ice-cold temperament was noble, but not arrogant. It was especially charming. "Big sister, wow long shuan shuang, mu feng Li Hui," and the rest's exclamations directly drowned out Chu Hen's voice. At the same time, the surrounding people looked at Chu Hen with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Just now, it was Yu Chenyu, and now it was Long Xuan Xuan. How did Chu Hen know so many beauties? Long Xuan Xuan lightly nodded her head as a signal. "You guys go back first." Chu Hen turned around and said to the group from Tensei Prefecture. "That." Mu Feng put on a shameless face and said, "Hee that. Little Scar, little handsome Scar, can you bring me along?" Looking at Mu Feng's vulgar smile, Chu Hen was both angry and amused. He had the urge to slap Mu Feng's face. "You better stay away from me, or else I'll make your handsome face miserable." Mu Feng swallowed his saliva, and his small eyes were full of disdain. "TSK, if you don't want to bring me, then don't. Why are you so fierce? I'm scared to the point of peeing. Go wash my underwear." Black lines appeared on everyone's faces, and they all consciously distanced themselves from Mu Feng. On the third floor of Monarch Arrival Pavilion. Chapter 78. The Star Elite competition had finally come to an end. The result was something that no one had expected. The one who seized first place was not Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute, Shu Shuuro, and it was not even Emperor Wen Martial House's Rinchong. No one had expected that the Heavenly Star Martial House, which had been at the bottom for several years, would actually have such a strong rebound and seize first place in this year's Elite Stars competition. What was even more unexpected was that the person who first killed He Chao and then injured Yang Yute was actually Chu Hen. 2 months ago, Chu Hen had been rejected by a total of 27 high-ranked martial houses. Even Imperial Wind, Giant Elephant, Bright Moon, and so on, the academies didn't even give Chu Hen a reason to reject him. The nameless pawn that no one had paid attention to back then had slapped the faces of all the high-ranked martial houses in the imperial capital today. Tonight was going to be a sleepless night for countless people, especially the high-ranking teachers of Tifeng province. When they saw Rin Chang's corpse being carried back, their faces would turn ashen from anger. On a bustling street that was brightly lit, the place was bustling with noise and excitement. Chu Hen and Long Xuan walked side by side. One was handsome and valiant, while the other was elegant and otherworldly. They attracted the gazes of passers-by from time to time. In Chu Hen's memory, he rarely walked side by side with Long Xuan. He remembered that when he was young, he would always follow behind Long Xuan. And Long Xuan seemed to be annoyed with Chu Hen and would never bring him out to play. She even said that if Chu Hen continued to follow her, she would beat him up. It scared Chu Hen so much that he stayed far away from her. Every time it happened, Long Qingyang would speak up for Chu Hen and criticize Long Xuan. Thinking of the past, Long Xuan couldn't help but feel a little dazed. The little fellow who used to follow her around every day had grown to such an extent. The last time they met was more than half a year ago. However, Long Xuan did not stay at home for too long that time, and the two of them communicated less and less. Now that they were walking together, they didn't know what to say. "I'll take you back to the Bright Moon School," Chu Hen said. Long Xuan nodded and did not refuse. "Are you used to living in Tensei Prefecture?" "It's pretty good." Chu Hen smiled. In fact, he had only been in Tensei Prefecture for a few days. "At that time, I was still in seclusion, so I didn't know what happened in the imperial capital that month. Long Xuanchuang's tone revealed a faint hint of apology. It doesn't matter. Big Brother has already told me. I haven't even had the time to congratulate you for upgrading your bloodline boundary to war body. Long Xuanchuang smiled faintly and shook her head. Long Qingyang left in a hurry too. If he had sent someone to inform me before he left, so many things wouldn't have happened. Long Xuanchuang had always called Long Qingyang by his name. She had never called him Big Brother. This was something that Chu Hen knew as well. You can't blame Big Brother for this. He didn't know that so many things would happen. By the way, why hasn't Big Brother returned from Tianqi Mountains? Did he say how long he'll be gone for? Long Xuanchuang asked. 2 months at most. Is that so? That's strange. Long Xuanchuang frowned slightly, a hint of confusion in her eyes. Chu Hen more or less knew a little about the Heaven Lake mountain range. It was one of the most dangerous places in the Sacred Star dynasty. It was said that not only were there many powerful beasts, but there were also some isolated human tribes that had taken root there. There were many dangerous places in Tianqi Mountains, and there were many resources that could be obtained by humans. Exotic plants, spiritual springs, immortal fruits, there were countless precious items. It was much more dangerous than the boneless mountain range that Chu Hen had been to previously. Thinking to there, Chu Hen's face couldn't help but show some worry. Don't worry. Long Xuanchuang could tell what Chu Hen was thinking. Her red lips parted slightly as she said gently, Long Qingyang's direct mentor is Yushan. He has a strong cultivation base and is very intelligent. He is one of the top mentors in the capital city. With him leading the team, Long Qingyang will be fine. Hearing the other party's words, the cloud of doubt on Chu Hen's face slowly dispersed. I understand. Do you still want to return to the Bright Moon Academy? I can help you, Long Xuanchuang asked. Chu Hen shook his head decisively. No, Tensei Prefecture is fine. Long Xuanchuang did not say much. After all, they had grown up together, so she knew Chu Hen's character quite well. He was very opinionated and would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. At that time, all the academies in the Martial House had rejected him. In a desperate situation, only the Heavenly Star Martial House took him in. Although Chu Hen did not say anything, he was still grateful to Tianxing. The two chatted as they walked towards the Bright Moon Academy. Long Xuanchuang was the same as before. She did not speak much, and most of the time, she would respond to whatever Chu Hen said. Fortunately, Chu Hen had gotten used to it since he was young, so it was not a big deal. About an hour later, the two arrived at the entrance of the Bright Moon Academy, and the guard at the entrance was the one who stopped Chu Hen a few days ago and did not let him in. When he saw Chu Hen and Long Xuanchuang walking together, his eyes immediately widened. Miss Long, Long Xuanchuang revealed a look of astonishment. Chu Hen smiled and said, I said that Miss Long would meet me. Last time, you would rather die than inform me. The guard was a little incoherent. He did not think that Chu Hen and Long Xuanchuang really knew each other. Long Xuanchuang was intelligent and naturally understood the reason behind it. It turned out that Chu Hen had come to find her last time, but was rejected by the guard. If he comes again in the future, there is no need to stop him. Just let him in. Yes, Miss Long. The guard was very polite to Long Xuanchuang. Everyone knew that Long Xuanchuang was the most favored direct disciple of Instructor Mo1. Instructor Mo1 was very prestigious among the instructors in the capital city, and was also an important core instructor in the Bright Moon Academy. I did not expect Second Sister to be so popular in the capital city. When I was young, I always thought that no one would want such a cold woman like her. Chu Hen muttered to himself softly. What are you talking about? No, nothing. Chu Hen smiled. Long Xuanchuang frowned slightly and said plainly, Then you should go back early. If there is anything in the future, you can look for me. All right. After a simple farewell, Chu Hen left the Bright Moon Academy and headed in the direction of the Tensei Prefecture. It was getting late, and there were fewer and fewer people on the streets. Other than a few of the main and bustling streets in the capital city, which were still brightly lit, the rest of the places were gradually shrouded in darkness. Whoosh! When Chu Hen walked to a street where there was no one around, a bleak night wind mixed with a bit of coldness. Suddenly, a blurry black shadow appeared a few tens of meters in front of him. The black shadow was facing Chu Hen. Under the hazy night, he could not see the appearance of the other party clearly, but he could vaguely tell that it was a skinny, middle-aged man. Chu Hen frowned slightly and unconsciously slowed down his steps. "Who are you?" Intuition told Chu Hen that the person was coming for him. "Humph. I did not expect you to hide so deeply. It is simply too surprising." The deep voice was as heavy as rolling thunder, and it was especially uncomfortable to listen to. Feeling the cold, murderous intent from the other party, Chu Hen quietly mobilized the power of the true core, and a surging black light wrapped around his arms. "Hey, could it be that you want to fight with me?" The black shadow sneered with extreme disdain. Chu Hen did not answer, but continued to release the true core, and his deep eyes surged with a thick, dignified look. Sitting and waiting for death was not Chu Hen's character, and he secretly thought of a way to retreat. "Forget it. Tomorrow morning, you will be found dead on the streets. This time, I will personally take action, and I will make sure you die without a burial place." "Humph." At this moment, another deep voice suddenly came into their ears. "If you want to touch the students of the Tensei Prefecture, then you will have to see if I agree or not. Get lost immediately, or I will make you die without a burial place." A violent gust of wind attacked. The hearts of Chu Hen and the black figure shook. One after another, they raised their eyes and looked over. On the roof of a house on the left side of the street, impressively, there stood a mighty and tall figure. "Song City Hunt." A surprised cry came out of the black figure's mouth. Chu Hen's eyes also lit up. The person was none other than the instructor of the Tensei Prefecture, Song Chunglai. "Since you know my name, why don't you get lost?" Song Chunglai shouted fiercely. The black shadow's eyes hardened, and a powerful aura instantly exploded. His body moved, and he rushed toward Chu Hen at the speed of a shadow. It was obvious that he wanted to kill Chu Hen before Song Chunglai could interfere. Buzz. The surging power turned into a violent gust of wind that attacked, and the dust and sand on the ground were all sent flying. Chu Hen's pupils shrank slightly. The face that was approaching from afar was that of an ordinary middle-aged man in his 30s. He go to hell. Fierce ethereal force covered Wei Han's palms, and his hands, which were surrounded by silver light, were like sharp knives. Wei Han's attack was so fast that it was like a bolt of lightning. Boom! Suddenly, there was a violent explosion about 2 meters in front of Chu Hen. A tall and burly figure stood in front of Chu Hen like a god of war. "Starlight illuminates the heavens," Song Chunglai shouted, and in an instant, a dazzling golden holy light bloomed from his body like a scorching sun. Chaotic air currents flowed and trembled, and deep cracks appeared on the ground. Bang! There was a muffled sound, and the dazzling holy light crashed into Wei Han's body like a tidal wave. The latter let out a loud cry and was sent flying before crashing heavily onto the ground. Wah! Chapter 79. Demon Lion Song Chunglai. You live up to your reputation. I'm impressed. Wei Han clutched his chest with one hand as blood flowed continuously from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Song Chunglai with a dark expression. Chu Hen, who was standing behind Song Chunglai, was shocked. That power just now was as powerful as a mountain, and it was difficult to move. Song Chunglai, who usually seemed gentle and cheerful, was actually so powerful. Looking at Song Chunglai's tall figure, Long Zhan's voice, smile, and fatherly warmth appeared in Chu Hen's mind. "Oomph." Song Chunglai stared coldly at Wei Han in front of him and shouted, "Didn't you hear what I said just now? How dare you touch a student of Tensei Prefecture?" He, Wei Han grinned and stood up shakily from the ground. "Song Chunglai, we don't beat around the bush. This kid offended someone he shouldn't have offended. Even if you can protect him for a while today, he'll definitely die on the streets in the future. I advise you to be a good teacher and not meddle in this matter." These words were full of threat. However, as soon as he finished speaking, A powerful aura exploded from Song Chunglia's body, and the gravel on the ground was shaken off. Wei Han's expression changed, and he said coldly, Song Chunglai, are you really going to go against us? Advise me to get the hell out of here before I change my mind about killing you. Otherwise, I'll make sure your blood splatters everywhere. Song Chunglia's murderous intent rose, and his eyes were cold. Wei Han clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. He snorted coldly and turned around to leave. Song Chunglia's aura gradually receded after he saw Wei Han leave. Hunter Chung, why are you here? Chu Hen walked up to him and asked. Song Chunglia's expression softened a little, and he let out a sigh of relief. He said, I've been at the Junlai Pavilion the whole time. After I saw you leave with that girl from the Bright Moon Martial House, I guessed that someone would do you harm tonight. So I followed behind you, and it was just as I expected. I see. Chu Hen couldn't help but feel warmth in his heart. He never thought that Song Chunglai would help him like this. He cupped his fist and said solemnly, Thank you, Hunter Master Chung. There's no need to stand on ceremony. I was the one who recruited you into Tensei Prefecture. Naturally, I don't want to see anything happen to you. However, I didn't expect that your enemy would be House Wei. Even though Song Chung was a rough hunter, he was meticulous in his thinking. Just now, he had noticed the blazing sun pattern on Wei Han's robes. That was the symbol of House Wei. Yes. Chu Hen nodded, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. It's Wei Qing Fan. Wei Qing Fan. Song Chunglai could not help but narrow his eyes. There was a hint of seriousness between his brows. No wonder you ran into so many obstacles in the Imperial City, and none of the high-ranked martial houses were willing to accept you. I also know a little about Wei Qing Fan. He's young, but he's vicious and merciless. He would not kill anyone who had offended him in the past. Instead, he would make them suffer all kinds of humiliation and torture. Finally, he would take their lives when they completely broke down. At this point, Song Chunglai could not help but feel a little surprised. Chu Hen had actually fought with Wei Qing Fan until now. Furthermore, he was relying on his own strength. How did you offend Wei Qing Fan? It's a long story. Chu Hen laughed bitterly. He did not want to talk about it anymore. Of course, you don't have to worry too much. Although House Wei is powerful, they can't do whatever they want in the Imperial City. It's true that our Tensei Prefecture is no longer as glorious as it was in the past, but we will not let anyone bully us. You can stay in Tensei Prefecture with peace of mind. No one will dare to touch you. Song Chunglai said in a serious and powerful voice. Chu Hen nodded gratefully. Thank you, Hunter Master Chung. Hee, I said you don't have to be so polite. It's getting late. Let's go back to the academy. Yes. With Song Chunglia's company, Chu Hen immediately returned to Tensei Prefecture. When Chu Hen and Song Chunglai returned to Tensei Prefecture, it was already close to midnight. Usually, the academy would be quiet at this time, but today it was very lively. Young men and women in groups of 3 to 5 were gathered together and chatting. And the topic they were talking about was the Star Elite competition that had ended not long ago. I really didn't think that our Tensei Prefecture would be able to take first place again. Yeah, I didn't expect it either. If I had known, I would have gone too. What's the point of saying all this now? Sigh, I didn't know that Chu Hen was so powerful. Even the Emperor Style's newcomer Rin Chong was killed by him. That scene must have been very exciting. Previously, many new students had refused to participate in the Star Elite competition because they were afraid of losing face. But when they saw the crowd return in triumph, bringing with them the shocking news of Chu Hen taking first place, the entire Tensei Prefecture was in an uproar. Not only did the new students regret not going, but many of the old students also regretted not going to join in the fun. Haha, looks like you become a celebrity that everyone knows. Song Chunglai laughed heartily. Chu Hen shook his head, a little embarrassed. Don't laugh at me, Hunter Chung. How is it a joke? Our Tensei Prefecture has been suppressed for so many years, and it's rare that we can hold our heads high today. But to be honest, you were a little too ruthless today, Song Chunglai said in a serious tone. Chu Hen didn't say anything. To be honest, he didn't regret his actions tonight at all. Chu Hen had his own reasons for being ruthless. Starting from when he was in Flame of Rain City, he was framed, his reputation was ruined, and his hands and feet were crippled. Then he was rejected by 27 high-ranked martial houses, and then he was hunted by more than 20 assassins in the middle of the night. Until tonight, that Wei Qing fans still incited Ren Chong to kill him. Every single one of these accounts could be used as a reason for Chu Hen to kill Ren Chong. After suppressing his anger for so long, there was no way Chu Hen could continue to hold it in. Seeing that Chu Hen didn't say anything, Song Chunglai smiled and said, "I was just saying. Don't take it to heart. It's getting late. You should go back and get some rest." I'll take my leave first." Chu Hen humbly cupped his fists and immediately left the other party. Watching Chu Hen's figure gradually disappear into the night, Song Chunglai let out a deep sigh of relief. This seemingly young boy had a hidden edge under his gentle face. He was usually approachable, but once his anger was ignited, it was like a bolt of lightning. "No matter what, I was the one who brought you to Tensei Prefecture. I hope you can go as far as you can." A moment later, Chu Hen returned to the courtyard he lived in. The courtyard was brightly lit. Mu Feng's and Haozi's rooms were both brightly lit. Moreover, he could vaguely hear the sounds of conversation coming from Haozi's room. "Those two guys aren't waiting for me, are they?" Chu Hen's handsome eyebrows twitched slightly. Shortly after, he walked towards Rat's room. Big bro Haozi, I didn't expect you to be so capable." Mu Feng's perverted voice was heard. From his tone, he sounded a little excited. He even called Haozi big bro. That was strange. Chu Hen was even more surprised. Big bro Haozi, help me tomorrow. Let this guy crawl to the girl's feet, then I'll save the damsel in distress. What do you think? I don't think that's a good idea. Haozi replied. What's not good about it? Who knew you could control this thing? You really live up to your name. Haha, what are you guys talking about? Chu Hen directly stepped into the room. Junior bro Chu Hen, you're back. Haozi's eyes lit up. Mu Feng tilted his head and snorted in dissatisfaction. You still know to come back. Going to have fun with a beauty alone? You have no conscience. Chu Hen was about to speak, but he couldn't help but be stunned. He saw a little mouse lying on the table in front of Haozi and Mu Feng. The little mouse was different from ordinary house mice. Its fur was black and white, and a pair of round eyes stared straight at Chu Hen. This is Junior Bro Chu Hen. Don't be surprised. This is a golden gnawing mouse, just a level 1 small demon beast. A level 1 small demon beast combat power was equivalent to a level 1 channel opening Rel Wuxiu. This seemingly small mouse actually had an amazing bite force. If one paid attention, it could instantly bite off an adult's neck. Of course, this kind of thing did not pose any threat to Chu Hen at all. Xiao, go back. Haozi let out a strange whistling sound, only to see the golden gnawing mouse turn around on the table, then jump off the table and burrow into a hole at the foot of the wall. Chu Hen raised his eyebrows and revealed a look of surprise. Senior bro Haozi, you can order it? Ha! Haozi scratched his head and said with some embarrassment, It's just communication, not an order. Sometimes they won't listen to me. They will only listen to me when they are friends. Making friends with a mouse. This was the first time Chu Hen saw such a novel thing. How do you have this ability? Chu Hen asked curiously. To be honest, my bloodline boundary is a mouse-shaped thing. Huh. Mu Feng couldn't help but laugh out loud. I was wondering why you were called Haozi. So that's how it is. What bloodline boundary is it? Martial body or battle body? I don't know. You don't know? I used to have a low self-esteem. Others called me Haozi. Later on, my bloodline boundary was also a mouse, so I didn't dare to say it out loud. Slowly, people around me thought that I had a mortal body and didn't have a bloodline boundary. Haozi said, Then do you mind if we call you Haozi now? Chu Hen said. Haozi shook his head and said with a silly smile, I don't mind, because I know that you call me Haozi because we are close, not to make fun of me. I don't have a low self-esteem. All right, Junior Bro Chu Hen. Rat's voice paused for a moment before he continued. I heard that you obtained first place in the Star Elite competition. Congratulations. Chapter 80. In the morning, The entire Tensei prefecture had sunk into a state of chaos. Almost everywhere one went, one could hear about last night's Star Elite competition. Amidst everyone's discussions, Chu Hen was able to become the center of attention no matter where he went. Senior brother Chu Hen, let's go quickly. Teacher Song Chung told us to go to Nebula Pavilion to get our new star points. Li Hui said excitedly to Chu Hen. Get new star points? Chu Hen was slightly surprised. Amen. Teacher Song Chung said that all the new students who participated in the Star Elite competition yesterday would be able to get star points. I heard that the points this time are very high. How high? Mu Feng asked with slanted eyes. At least 1,000 star points. Oh, and the highest? Mu Feng asked as he swept a glance at Chu Hen beside him. You'll know when you get there. Nebula Pavilion. This was a rather grand and ancient building. Limestone bricks, long corridors, and pavilions, simple yet not lacking in grandeur. At this moment, on the plaza in front of Nebula Pavilion's main entrance, there was already a queue that resembled a long dragon. The people lining up were all the new students who participated in the Star Elite competition last night. There were also many people gathered around the plaza. Most of the people's faces were filled with annoyance. Sigh, I regret it to death. If I had known earlier, I would have gone to Monarch or Rival Pavilion yesterday. Who's to blame? Who told you not to go? Senior brotherly Huey begged you yesterday, but you didn't even give him a good look. Now you know how to regret it. What right do you have to say that? Didn't you not go yourself? I originally wanted to go, but none of you went, so don't give me that. You're just the pot calling the kettle black. The new students who went to the Sovereign Arrival Pavilion yesterday didn't even make up 1/10 of the total number of new students recruited by the Tensei Prefecture this year. In the eyes of everyone, a newcomer from Tensei Prefecture going to participate in the Star Genius competition was equivalent to being humiliated, and it was purely a joke to others. However, no one had expected that Chu Hen will be able to snatch first place among the newcomers. It directly allowed the Heavenly Star Marshal House to vent their resentment and forcefully turned a humiliating assembly into an exciting battle to turn the situation around. As for those new students who didn't participate because they were afraid, they all began to regret it. Senior apprentice brother Chu Hen is here. An excited voice rang out, and everyone turned their heads to look. They saw Chu Hen, Mu Feng, Li Huiyi, and Zhou Lu walking towards them. The resolute youth's features were sharp, and his slender figure was as straight as a spear. Many of the young girls in the surroundings couldn't help but blush when they saw Chu Hen, and a faint shyness faintly surged out from between their brows. Mu Feng flipped his hair in what he thought was a cool manner, and pretended to be elegant as he said, "There's pressure when you're handsome. Wherever you go, you'll be the center of attention. You guys are all basking in my glory." Li Huiyi and Zhou Lu secretly shook their heads and sighed, cursing in their hearts. Shameless. Senior apprentice brother Chu Hen, senior apprentice brother Mu Feng, you've come. A gentle-looking young man walked over from the front of the line and said in an especially courteous manner, "Senior apprentice brothers, please go first." The people lining up at the entrance of Nebula Pavilion all consciously opened up a path. Many thanks. Chu Hen smiled and didn't refuse. After all, there were 40 to 50 people in front of him, and he didn't know how long he would have to wait in line. Moreover, if Chu Hen wanted to line up at the back, no one would be willing to, as Chu Hen, who had led the people of Tensei Prefecture to wash away their shame yesterday, this little bit of preferential treatment was still necessary. Immediately, under the envious gazes of the surrounding people, Chu Hen, Mu Feng, and the other two were the first to enter Nebula Pavilion. They saw that the furnishings and decorations inside the pavilion were all very simple and unadorned, giving off a solemn and strict feeling. A rectangular stone platform was set up several meters in front of them. The stone platform was taller than a person's chest, and it was built with extremely sturdy dark-colored granite. Next to the stone platform was a passageway that led to the interior. Looking up, there were rows of counters set up in an orderly manner inside the loft. On top of those counters All kinds of items were neatly arranged, such as scrolls, porcelain bottles, weapons, and so on, all kinds of valuable items. In the capital, every high-ranking martial house had an extremely rich collection. Among them, the 5 great academies, Imperial Martial, Imperial Wind, Bright Moon, Giant Elephant, and Spirit Rhino, had the most. A good high-ranking martial house attracted people not only because of the outstanding team of instructors, but also because of the resources that the martial house provided to its students. Wuxiu's path was full of dangers and difficulties. Among them, the indispensable resources were martial techniques and cultivation methods, supplies of crystals, defensive weapons, and pills. These things, at this moment, were all displayed in front of Chu Hen and the others. Holy shit, it can't be. There's not even a guard at the door. Aren't they afraid of being robbed? Mu Feng looked around at the empty floor, rubbed his nose, and casually walked towards the passageway in front of him. Senior brother Mu Feng, don't go in. Li Hui hurriedly called out to him. What? I'm just going to take a look. No one is allowed to pass the counter without permission. The person guarding this place is Eldering. Li Hui walked to Mu Feng's side and said in a low voice, Eldering has the strangest temper in the Tensei Prefecture, and he's the most difficult elder to provoke. If you dared to touch anything here under his eyes, breaking your hand would be considered a light punishment. So ruthless. Mu Feng was so shocked that he shrunk back. He looked around and said, Where is he? I don't know about that, but Eldering knows about our every move here. Li Hui did not seem to be joking at all. He spoke very seriously. Then why hasn't he appeared yet? Let's wait a little longer. Usually, Eldering would only come out at a fixed time. We probably came early. All right, it feels like I'm being stared at by someone. How disobedient. Mu Feng muttered with slight dissatisfaction. On the other hand, Chu Hen was very calm as he looked around. Then, the scene on the left wall appeared in his eyes. What's wrong? Chu Hen? Zhou Lu asked casually. The few of them followed her gaze and saw 30 jade plaques hanging on the left wall. Each jade plaque was about the size of half a palm. The top of the jade plaques were labeled with numbers 1 to 30. Each jade tablet had a different name engraved on it. Oh, those are the top 30 on the star ranking. Li Hui said. Top 30? Chu Hen was a little surprised. With some curiosity, he walked forward. Are they the strongest 30? Mu Feng asked curiously. You can think of it that way. Chu Hen's attention first fell on the first jade tablet. 2 sharp words were engraved with a swift and fierce brush strength. Ji Xian. Senior brother Ji Xian is the number 1 in the Tensei Prefecture. He's also the most talented direct disciple under teacher Shilon. But senior brother Ji Xian has been training outside for the past year, and he hasn't returned yet. Zhou Lu's red lips parted slightly as she explained. It could be seen that she had a good understanding of the situation in the Tensei Prefecture. Moreover, I heard that senior brother Ji Xian's star points have already exceeded 100,000. He's firmly ranked first even in the history of the Tensei Prefecture, Li Hui added. Over 100,000 star points. Chu Hen couldn't help but reveal an astonished expression. This was truly terrifying. Besides feeling surprised, Chu Hen was secretly surprised. That teacher, Shilon, deserves her reputation. She's actually able to teach such a talented student at such a young age. The few of them then looked at the second jade plaque. Xiao Yan. Senior brother Xiao Yan is teacher Song Cheng's direct disciple, and he's an extremely formidable figure. Supposedly, his star points are about to exceed 100,000, and he's left to gain experience and cultivate as well, Li Hui explained. Zhou Lu's beautiful brows raised lightly, and then she added, Senior brother Xiao Yan is a ruthless person. I remember that during the Academy Martial Competition last year, senior brother Xiao Yan encountered the Imperial Martial Academy's ruthless Tong Fei, and senior brother Xiao Yan risked his heavy injuries to forcefully chop off one of Tong Fei's arms. Later on, he even dragged his heavily injured body to battle the consonant's Martial House's Plum Blossom Sword, Shen Yunxi, but because his injuries were too heavy, he still lost to Shen Yunxi in the end. Plum Blossom Sword, Shen Yunxi? Chu Hen was slightly stunned when he heard these words. Shen Yunxi, These three words were slightly familiar, and he seemed as if he'd heard it somewhere. In next to no time, Chu Hen recalled that amongst the three consonants Marshall House students that chased after him in the Boneless Mountain Range, the young girl called Xan had once said that Shun Yunxi was her older brother, and she'd even said that if Chu Hen dared to touch her, Shun Yunxi would surely not let him off. Looks like he's indeed a rather troublesome figure. Chu Hen pondered inwardly. Looks like I've already imperceptibly created another potential trouble. But Chu Hen wasn't too worried. The imperial capital was so large, and there were tens of high-ranked martial houses and academies. Under the circumstances that they didn't know him, would they still be able to find him? Not to mention that Chu Hen didn't kill them under those circumstances, and it could be said to be repaying evil with good. Any reasonable person wouldn't stubbornly bite on a Chu Hen, so there was nothing to worry about in this matter. Of course, Chu Hen wasn't a person that was afraid of trouble. Bai Yue is ranked third? A voice filled with astonishment came out of Mu Feng's mouth. His eyes were wide open, and there was a faint light in his eyes. Chu Hen's eyelids lifted, and he looked at the jade token behind Xiao Yan. The three words Bai Yue were engraved on the surface of the token. Chapter 81. Bai Yue is ranked third. Along with Mu Feng's surprised voice, Chu Hen, Li Hui, and the others' gazes subconsciously swept towards the third jade token. The words Bai Yue were engraved on the token. Chu Hen had never heard of the name Bai Yue before, but he had often heard Mu Feng ramble about his ultimate goal, marrying the capital's four beauties, the 6 pearls, and reaching the peak of life. So he had some impression of this Bai Yue. Bai Yue is Instructor Shadowless's direct disciple and one of the 6 pearls. Her talent is also extremely strong, and she entered the academy a year later than senior brother Ji Xian and senior brother Xiao Yan. She is also Instructor Shadowless's favorite disciple. Zhou Lu said slowly. In any case, those who are able to enter the top 30 of the Star Branch ranking are all extremely talented geniuses. Li Hui said as he turned his gaze towards Chu Hen and said, Senior brother Chu Hen, I believe that it won't be long before your name appears on this ranking. Li Hui's words were quite sincere, without the slightest hint of flattery. At the side, Mu Feng slanted his eyes, curled his lips, and said, It's just a Star Branch ranking. I can go too. Chu Hen smiled, and then roughly glanced at the extreme speed jade token at the back. He saw that He Qing Yuan, Bian Hong, and Lu Yu's names were all on it. These were all Instructor Shilan's direct disciples, and Chu Hen had seen them before at Maple Forest Stakes. Tap, tap. Suddenly, the sound of light footsteps caused them to turn their gazes away from the Star Branch ranking. A figure could be seen staggering towards them from the interior of Nebula Pavilion from afar. They stilled. It was a haggard, white-haired old man. His slow and unsteady steps made him seem like a candle in the wind, causing them to worry that he could fall at any moment. Holy shit. No way. This is the elder Ing you were talking about? Mu Feng whispered to Li Huiyi, who was beside him. The strictest elder. He's clearly an old man who's about to die. Sure. Li Huiyi frowned and quickly signaled for her not to speak. The old man walked to the inside of the counter like a baby learning how to walk. He then slowly raised his head and said in a low and hoarse voice, Next time you're grinding for new star points, come here regularly. If you come early, you'll disturb this old man's rest. Buzz. Before he finished speaking, an invisible and peculiar power surged out from the other party's body. The hearts of Chu Hen, Mu Feng, and the others couldn't help but tremble, and a wisp of indescribable terror arose in their hearts. This feeling of fear originated from the old man's right eye. His left eye was normal, filled with the turbidity of an old man. However, his right eye was amber in color, and there was a white down the middle. It was strange and flickered with a sharp luster, like the eye of a goshawk. Chu Hen quickly regained his composure, cupped his fists, and said modestly and politely, This student greets Elder Ing. We've just entered the academy and are still unfamiliar with the rules of the academy. I hope Elder Ing can forgive us. Li Huiyi and Zhou Lu also hurriedly reacted and cupped their fists in greeting. This student greets Elder Ing. Mu Feng stood on the spot in a daze. His eyes were dull, his expression wooden, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. No one knew what he was laughing about. Senior brother Mu Feng, senior brother Mu Feng. Li Huiyi hurriedly and quietly pushed him. Following that, Mu Feng's body trembled, as if he had woken up from a dream. He asked with a blank expression, "What's wrong? What happened just now?" Li Huiyi and Zhou Lu looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. "You were like a little fool just now, and you were almost drooling," Zhou Lu said with slight disdain. "Is that so?" Mu Feng scratched his head. Chu Hen's eyes slightly narrowed, and he secretly exclaimed in his heart. This Elder Ing was indeed not an ordinary person. He had unknowingly made Mu Feng lose his sense of self, and it was only for an instant. This was not something an ordinary person could do. This old man hates it when people speak ill of me behind my back. If I hear it again in the future, I can't guarantee that I won't fall into a cesspool while sleepwalking. Yes. As soon as these words were spoken, the corner of Mu Feng's eyes twitched, and he subconsciously hid behind Chu Hen. "Eldering, we have no intention of offending you. I hope that you can forgive us, and don't mind the nonsense of us juniors," Chu Hen said in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. Eldering looked at Chu Hen, and his expression softened slightly. "You little brat, I find you more pleasing to the eye. Let's not waste any more words, and come and refresh our star points." Their eyes lit up, and the crowd at the back of the queue also became restless. "Senior brother Chu Hen, you go first," Li Huiyi said. "Yes." Chu Hen nodded and walked in front of the stone platform. "Name?" Eldering asked in a low voice, and casually took out a book. This book was the name list that Song Chenglai had sent over this morning. There was a rather detailed introduction, as well as the name list of the students that had participated in the Star Talent competition yesterday. "Chu Hen. Oh, you're the little fellow that seized the first place amongst the newcomers?" A hint of faint appreciation appeared on Elder Ying's face, and he immediately took out a piece of jade that looked like an ink stone and placed it on the platform, before moving it in front of Chu Hen. "Inject your true origin energy into it." "Yes." Chu Hen did not hesitate, and a wisp of true origin energy separated from the tip of his right hand and fused it into the jade stone. Buzz, buzz, a wave of obscure fluctuations gently rippled, and the jade stone subsequently released a gentle light. Immediately after, a silver pentagram pattern faintly appeared at the top of the jade stone. "Wow, it's a silver star pattern." The students at the back of the long queue were all extremely astonished, and a wave of uproar and exclamations arose. Even Li Huiyi and Zhou Lu were stunned. A silver star pattern represents 5,000 star points. "Senior brother Chu Hen is really amazing," Li Huiyi said. 5,000 star points? Even Chu Hen himself was stunned. He looked at Elder Ing with a puzzled expression. The students that participated in the Star Elite competition will each obtain 1,000 star points. The contestants that go up on stage will obtain 2,000 star points. If you defeat your opponent, you will obtain 3,000 star points. Elder Ying's voice slightly paused, and then he continued, "And if you help our academy seize first place, you will be bestowed with 5,000 star points." Whoosh! Inside and outside of Nebula Pavilion, an uproar uncontrollably broke out. 5,000 star points, and it had only been a month since he entered the academy, yet Chu Hen had broken the previous record for the best newcomer. Not far away, Mu Feng grinned. It seems that I can also obtain 3,000 star points. That end of lineage kick of mine was really worth it. Despicable. Zhou Lu's face flushed red, and she cursed in a low voice. "Keep this star inkstone for yourself. In the future, only I can help you farm new star points," Eldering said. Chu Hen held the star inkstone in his palm, and shockingly found that he could no longer feel the energy fluctuations within it. The star inkstone contained a strange restriction. The first time it was activated by Chu Hen himself, and after that, whenever he completed the Academy's missions, he would be able to obtain the corresponding amount of star points. At that time, he would then confirm with Elder Ing, and the latter would then complete the update. After all, These star points were the results of every student's examinations, and the Tensei Prefecture was still very strict about this. Do you need to exchange it for any resources? Eldering casually asked. Chu Hen's handsome eyebrows lifted. He had almost forgotten that star points could be exchanged for resources provided by the Marshall House. What can 5,000 star points be exchanged for? This question actually caused Eldering to be startled for a moment. The handbook for new students had an exchange list. Regarding this kind of question, Eldering had previously directly rejected it and told the other party to go back and look through the handbook themselves. However, this time, Eldering actually answered and said, 5,000 star points can be exchanged for a profound essence pill and a high-level natal opening realm martial skill. Also, starting from next month, you will be able to receive 10 middle-grade origin crystal stones every month. Profound essence pill? Chu Hen's heart lit up. This is a good thing. To Wu Xiao, who was below the core transformation stage, the profound essence pill was absolutely the best medicinal pill to assist in cultivation, as it was able to speed up the growth of Wu Xiao's true origin energy, strengthen the body, and expand the meridians. As for martial skills, Chu Hen did not lack them. Not to mention, it was a martial skill of the natal opening realm, so it was even less attractive. I want a profound essence pill. Chu Hen replied without hesitation. Eldering nodded. Then with a move of his palm, a small porcelain bottle on the left counter behind him was directly sucked into his palm. If it's a martial skill, you can go to the east counter to choose it yourself. Eldering casually passed the small porcelain bottle to Chu Hen, and he recorded the information that Chu Hen could exchange for a profound essence pill in a thick booklet beside his hand. Chu Hen smiled as he shook his head, and he was just about to say there was no need for that when he suddenly stopped and asked, Elder, is there a martial skill related to the ice profound essence pill? A martial skill related to the ice profound essence pill. Chu Hen was precisely thinking of the ice profound essence ice moon wolf that he could use within his body. During the battle with Imperial Martial Academy's Yang Yute, Chu Hen had fused the ice profound essence with his true origin, and the results were beyond his expectations. If he were to use it in the form of a martial skill, the power would definitely increase by several times. There are many types of martial skills left behind by Senior Li Wushang, but as of now, Chu Hen had yet to find a suitable martial skill among the ones that he could cultivate. Ice profound essence pill? Eldering muttered softly. Then with a move of his palm, a cyan blue scroll flew out from one of the counters with a swoosh sound, and it steadily fell into his hand. You must return it within half a month at the latest. Also, you must not lend it to anyone outside of Tensei Prefecture. Elder Ying's voice was very calm, but it carried an irresistible majesty in everyone's ears. This student understands, Chu Hen replied solemnly. Then under the numerous envious gazes behind him, he put away the profound essence pill and the scroll into his storage ring. It's my turn. Seeing that Chu Hen had finished, Mu Feng hurriedly chuckled as he walked forward. Mu Feng's Feng, I defeated that person from the Chicken Martial House. That person, 3,000 star points, right? What can I exchange it for? Eldering raised his head, took out 2 things, and replied indifferently. The Star Ink Stone is for you, and the Profound Essence Pill is for you. Get out of my sight immediately, or else I'll give you an extra crystal coffin. Chapter 82. The Plaza in front of Nebula Pavilion. Chu Hen wore a faint smile as he looked at Mu Feng beside him. The latter's face was filled with depression, and his body was covered in dust. This smelly old man, his ears are so sharp. Earlier, when they were looking for Eldering in Nebula Pavilion to farm new star points in exchange for resources, after Mu Feng had exchanged for a profound accumulation pill, he muttered with a mosquito-like voice just as he was about to leave the main entrance. Strange old man. If you want to use a coffin, you should be the one to use it first. Immediately after, there was a scream of pain, and Mu Feng was directly blasted out from inside. He fell on his back in a dog-eating-shit posture. Would it kill you to speak a little less? Chu Hen was both angry and amused as he replied. Would it kill me? Mu Feng was also incredibly depressed. He rolled his eyes and laughed darkly. Hee hee, smelly old man, you dare to kick me? Tell your daughter to be careful on her way home, and one day I'll let you have a grandson. Looking at Elder Ying's age, his daughter is at least 40 or 50 years old. Chu Hen replied carelessly. Mu Feng glared, and the smile on his face immediately froze. You're so nosy. This handsome Feng only likes this, can't you? Senior brother Chu Hen. At the same time, Li Hui and Zhou Lu had already come out of Nebula Pavilion. Is everything done? Chu Hen asked. Yes, senior sister Zhou Lu received an essence bone pill. I don't have enough star points, so I'll keep it for now. When I have accumulated a certain amount, I'll come back to exchange for it, Li Hui answered. Chu Hen nodded. Then let's go. Junior brother Chu Hen, something bad has happened. Just as they were about to return, a man around 18 years old hurriedly ran towards them. This person was none other than Gu Qing, who had received him on his first day in the academy. Senior brother Gu Qing, why are you in such a hurry? Chu Hen smiled. Junior brother, the emperor, people from Tifeng province have come. They said that you killed Ren Chong, and if Tensei Prefecture does not hand you over, they will not rest. Go and hide for now. Damn, so shameless. Mu Feng jumped up and scolded. Chu Hen frowned and asked solemnly, what's the situation now? Many teachers and students from the Imperial Wind Martial House have come. Now, teacher Song Chung is mediating with them at the 7 Stars Square. I'm afraid that you'll pass by on your way back, so I came to inform you not to go. Hearing this, Li Huiyi and Zhou Lu couldn't help but change slightly. Mother of **Ker, this Emperor Wind Martial House is too much of a bully. Life and death on the martial stage are up to fate, and now they're here to cause trouble? Li Hui cursed. Chu Hen's gaze slightly focused. After thinking for a while, he resolutely headed towards a certain direction. Fuck, are you tired of living? Mu Feng said. This matter started because of me. If I don't resolve it today, there will be a second and third time in the future. Since I can't hide, why should I hide and become a laughingstock? Of course, Chu Hen knew that Tensei Prefecture would not hand him over easily. Otherwise, the Academy's reputation would be tarnished. Of course, Chu Hen knew that Tensei Prefecture would not hand him over easily. Otherwise, the Academy's reputation would be tarnished. If Chu Hen hid in the dark and did not show himself, he would be laughed at as a coward. 7 Stars Plaza. At this moment, the entire square was in chaos. The situation in the square was divided into 2 factions. Both sides were facing each other, and the atmosphere was restless and hostile. Song Qinglai, if you don't hand over that bastard Chu Hen today, Tifeng province will not let this go. The person who spoke was a middle-aged man in his 30s or 40s. His face was dark, and he glared at Song Qinglai and the Tensei Prefecture crowd in front of him. There were close to 100 people behind the middle-aged man. There were more than 10 people dressed as teachers, and the rest were students from Tifeng province. These students also had indignant expressions. Their faces were filled with hatred and resentment. Last night, Chu Hen killed the Emperor Wind's newcomer king, Ren Chong, in front of tens of thousands of people at the Elite Stars competition. To the entire Emperor Wind Martial House, this could be said to be an extraordinary shame and humiliation. Shihui, your Tifeng province is too ridiculous. Song Qinglai took a few steps forward. His powerful voice was like a tidal wave. Since ancient times, life and death have been decided by fate. Today, you brought so many people to cause trouble. Aren't you looking down on our Tensei Prefecture too much? That's right. This is too outrageous. This is too much of a bully. We will never hand him over. The many teachers and students from Tensei Prefecture behind Song Qinglai rebuked him angrily. The middle-aged man called Shi Hui's face darkened even more. He said angrily, Humph, Song Qinglai, you must give me an explanation today. Otherwise, this matter will not end here. Shi Hui's attitude was also very unyielding. He was one of the most reputable instructors in the Imperial Capital's many martial houses teams. The main reason was that Ren Chong, who had been killed by Chu Hen, was his direct disciple. As this year's newcomer, Rin Chong was not only at the third level of the natal opening realm, but he also possessed the soul-locked battle physique. Shi Hui had always valued Rin Chong's talent and potential. But who would have thought that Rin Chong would lose his life in the arena of the Star Summit 2 months after entering the academy? How could Shi Hui not be angry? How could he not be angry? How could he not be angry? Looking at the other party's attitude today, he was determined to make Song Chunglai hand over Chu Hen. To be honest, Tensei Prefecture was also sullen and angry. They were being bullied right at their doorstep. If this was in the past, which elite martial house would have dared to come knocking on their door with such a large force? But now, Tifeng Province really did not care about Tensei Prefecture at all. Thinking about it made him feel somewhat helpless. Chu Hen is here. Just as the atmosphere between the two sides was in a state of tension, an exclamation broke the current stalemate. Everyone's gaze swept towards the same direction. They saw a young, slender, and handsome figure walking towards them. Under that amiable and approachable appearance, there was a wisp of sharp light faintly emitting from it. This fellow, he really dared to come? Wu Zhe said coldly from the side. Even though he was also teacher Shi Lan's direct disciple, Wu Zhe did not look worried at all. Instead, he seemed to be taking pleasure in Rin Chong's misfortune. It was obvious that Wu Zhe was still brooding over Chu Hen knocking him off the wooden stake array a few days ago at the Maple Forest stake. Beside him stood He Qingyan, Lu Yu, Bian Hong, and a few other direct disciples of teacher Shi Lan. He probably dared to come out because he knew that teacher Song Chunglai would not hand him over. Bian Hong smiled with interest. He Qingyuan and Lu Yu both frowned slightly. To be honest, both of them rather admired Chu Hen. Now that they heard someone on their side mocking him, they were more or less displeased. Seeing Chu Hen arrive with Mu Feng, Li Hui, and Zhou Lu, Song Chunglai frowned and signaled Chu Hen to come to his side with his eyes. However, Chu Hen did not do so. His gaze turned to the people of Tifeng Province, and he said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "I, Chu Hen, am here. May I ask why you have come from afar?" Shi Hui laughed coldly, and a vicious glint flashed in his eyes. "You are Chu Hen. Very well, swoosh." Before he finished speaking, Shi Hui's figure moved, and he shot out explosively. Surging essential vitality surged towards Chu Hen like a rising tide. The piercingly cold aura pressed down like a mountain, and the ferocious power made it impossible for anyone to move. Humph! Song Chunglie's expression darkened, and he charged forward without hesitation. A dazzling golden holy light bloomed like the sun, and the strong wind that was stirred up hurt everyone's face. Boom! When he was less than 2 meters away from Chu Hen, Song Chunglai successfully intercepted Shi Hui at lightning speed. The two of them fiercely bombarded each other with their palms, and a shockwave exploded in the square like a thunderstorm. The scattered quintessential energies wantonly collided with each other, and a powerful chi wave swept up the dust and leaves on the ground with a power that could sweep away 1,000 soldiers. The people on both sides were also shaken by the aftershock and took a few steps back. "Shi Hui, you're really shameless. As a core tutor of Tifeng Province, you actually attacked a new student in public. Did you live like a dog?" Song Chunglai stood in front of Chu Hen and shouted at Shi Hui while pointing at him. After being scolded, Shi Hui's face darkened. He clenched his fists and shouted coldly, "Humph, a life for a life. It's only right and proper. This B***** killed my student, so why can't I touch him?" Song Chunglai was about to scold him again, but Chu Hen spoke first. "May I ask, is there a rule that says killing is not allowed in the Stars Tournament?" According to the agreement made before the tournament, there are no specific rules in the Stars Tournament. There are only winners and losers. Since there is no rule that says killing is not allowed, then what did I do wrong? Chu Hen took a step forward. His pitch-black and deep eyes flickered with a blade-like sharpness. He shouted once again, "Furthermore, Rin Chong tried to kill me with every move. Could it be that only he can kill me, and I can't kill him? Let me ask you, Tifeng Province, how can you distinguish right from wrong by coming here to cause trouble today?" Wow! There was a round of applause from Tensei Prefecture. You're absolutely right, senior brother Chu Hen. Life and death are up to fate on the arena. There is no rule that says killing is not allowed. After being scolded by Chu Hen, Shi Hui did not know how to refute. He clenched his fists and gritted his teeth angrily. However, just at this moment, from within the Emperor Wind Martial House's group, a young figure with extraordinary martial prowess walked out. Everyone present was startled, and their gazes unconsciously swept towards that person. Junior brother Chu Hen is not only smart, but also eloquent. I really admire you. Those who have the ability to kill Rin Chong must have a high cultivation level. I'm Rin Wei, and I hope to learn a thing or two from junior brother Chu Hen. I hope junior brother Chu Hen can grant my wish. Chapter 83. If you have the ability to kill Rin Chong, your cultivation must be high. My name is Rin Wei, and I hope to learn a thing or two from junior Chu Hen. I hope Junior will grant my wish. His light and indifferent voice caused everyone present to be startled. Everyone's gaze fell on the young man that walked out from the Emperor Wind Martial House's group. This person had a heroic spirit, but the gloominess that leaked out from between his brows made people feel especially uncomfortable. Rin Wei, like Rin Chong, was also a member of the Rin clan. The moment he walked out, the crowd from the Tensei Prefecture's side immediately erupted into an uproar. F***CK, don't you have any shame? You're a 6th rank natal opening realm student, D Feng, challenging a 3rd rank natal opening realm newbie. It seems like not only is D Feng's teacher shameless, even his students are the same. Junior Chu Hen, don't bother with him. The Tensei Prefecture united against outsiders. Due to the contribution that Chu Hen had made to the academy last night, many students were willing to protect him at this time. Furthermore, if anything happened to Chu Hen today, the Tensei Prefecture's reputation would be tarnished. However, Rin Wei did not care about the scolding in front of him. He was unmoved. He stared at Chu Hen in front of him with a ruminating gaze and said with a faint smile, "No matter what, Rin Chong is still a member of my clan. If we just let him go like this, it would be really difficult. Of course, I don't want others to say that I'm bullying you. So it's settled. As long as you can take 3 of my moves, I'll forget about today's matter. As long as you can take 3 of my moves, I'll forget about today's matter." Rin Wei's indifferent words once again caused an uproar in the crowd. It had to be said that this person was extremely arrogant. However, he had the qualifications to say such words. 6th rank of the elemental opening realm, 3 whole levels higher than Chu Hen. If all 3 moves were to be ferociously attacked with killing moves, Chu Hen simply would not have the chance to survive. The gap of 3 levels wasn't something that could be easily made up for. "Chu Hen, don't mess around," Mu Feng reminded him. Although he was usually frivolous, he was still very serious at crucial moments. It wasn't like everyone didn't know how strong a 6th rank natal opening realm martial artist was. Not to mention 3 moves, it was extremely possible for a martial artist to instantly kill a 3rd rank natal opening realm martial artist. Yeah, senior martial brother Chu Hen, don't agree with him. Li Hui echoed. The corner of Rin Wei's mouth curled into a playful smile. With an extremely disdainful attitude, he looked at Chu Hen. Haha, you can choose to be a tortoise hiding in its shell. But in the future, you and I will have the chance to meet in the capital. These words were full of threat. Rin Wei's words couldn't have been clearer. Either he accepted his challenge, or he would wait until they met somewhere else in the imperial capital to settle the score. From everyone's point of view, Chu Hen seemed to have no other choice. After all, it was impossible for Chu Hen to hide in Tensei Prefecture all the time. Once he stepped out of the martial house, he might be targeted by Rin Wei. However, if he accepted the challenge, no one present believed that Chu Hen could withstand 3 moves from Rin Wei. It was still a question of die sooner or die later. Just when everyone thought that Chu Hen would refuse, a faint smile appeared on his face. Hee hee. Since senior martial brother Rin Wei is interested, why should I refuse? What? As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned. Did this guy want to die? Even a fool could see that Rin Wei was obviously trying to goad Chu Hen into accepting the challenge. Once Chu Hen agreed, it would be equivalent to rejecting the protection of Tensei Prefecture. If the two of them fought, even if Ren Wei killed Chu Hen, Tensei Prefecture would only be able to watch. What an arrogant fool. Wu Zhe sneered from the sidelines. You shut up, Liu Yu replied, unhappily. No matter what, we're all direct disciples of Instructor Shilon. It's fine if you can't help, but don't make sarcastic remarks. You, stop arguing, He Qing Yuan shouted in a low voice. Chu Hen, you? Song Chunglai looked at him in confusion and asked. Chu Hen nodded slightly, indicating that there was no need to worry. Instructor Chung, this happened because of me. If I can solve it, it'll be for the best. Chu Hen paused and turned to look at his instructor from Tifeng Province, Shi Hui. But I have to confirm if I can take 3 moves from him. If I do, the people from Tifeng Province will leave immediately and never cause trouble for me again. Shi Hui sneered and turned to look at the frivolous Ren Wei. He answered without hesitation, That's right. If that's the case, then don't talk nonsense. Make your move, Chu Hen said calmly. Song Chunglai wanted to say more, but when he saw Chu Hen's calm expression, he chose to believe him. After all, from the very beginning, Song Chunglai had always felt that Chu Hen was not as simple as he seemed. Immediately, the crowd from both sides retreated. There was a large enough space in the middle of the square. Go, senior brother Chu Hen. I believe you can do it. Senior brother Ren Wei. Kill him and avenge senior brother Ren Chong. Senior brother Ren Chong died, such an unjust death. We must make him pay. The crowd from Tensei Prefecture and Tifeng Province was boiling with cheers. In comparison, the crowd from Tifeng Province looked disdainful. They knew how strong Ren Wei was. He could take Chu Hen's life in 3 moves. Sigh, senior brother Chu Hen. Why did he agree to that guy's request? Li Hui, who was standing outside the square, said worriedly. Mu Feng crossed his arms in front of him and narrowed his eyes. Based on that guy's personality, he would only agree to this if he was confident. But Ren Wei is at the 6th level of the element opening realm. There's nothing we can do. Since he already agreed, let's just stand aside and watch. In the middle of the square, Chu Hen and Ren Wei were about 10 meters apart. Both of them exuded a cold and solemn aura. Chu Hen's body was ramrod straight, and his back was as straight as a spear. There was not the slightest ripple in his calm eyes. Hee. Ren Wei's face was filled with a playful smile. Within this smile, there was a strong, murderous intent. I didn't expect you to accept the challenge. Isn't that what you wanted? Not only did Chu Hen not show the slightest hint of fear, there was even a hint of relaxation on his face. I hope you can still laugh later. Buzz! As soon as he finished speaking, Ren Wei raised both of his hands, accompanied by the sound of metal chains colliding. From metal chains that were as thick as an arm shot out from Ren Wei's sleeves like agile snakes. Strong winds danced wildly, and the air currents filled the air. The 4 metal chains were surrounded by golden luster. Under Ren Wei's control, they rose into the air. From afar, they looked like the tentacles of an octopus. The crowd from Tensei Prefecture was secretly shocked by Ren Wei's 4 metal chains. Sensing the aura emitted from Ren Wei's body, they could not help but worry for Chu Hen. Speaking of which, where did these metal chains come from? Mu Feng revealed a puzzled expression as he asked Li Hui and Zhou Lu who were beside him. I was puzzled last night. How'd he hide such long metal chains on his body? Senior brother Mu Feng, there's something you don't know. Li Hui, who knew the inside story, explained, the Ren family specially created an item called a lock. This lock is a special tool made from the principle of a storage ring. It's convenient to carry around. The metal chains are placed in the lock, and they can release the length of the metal chains according to their own needs. So that's how it is. In other words, the lock is hidden in Ren Wei's sleeves. That's right. It's easier to control it if it's hidden there. Li Hui nodded in confirmation. He then said, however, if the Ren family's soul lock battle body is cultivated to the extreme, they can directly use the power of the bloodline boundary to create the soul lock spirit. At that time, they can directly use the soul lock spirit to replace the metal chains. Not only can they control it more flexibly, but their lethality is also like heaven and earth. F*CK. how do you know so much? Mu Feng said. Hee. Li Hui smiled embarrassedly. Well, I've liked to collect this kind of knowledge since I was young. Therefore, I've learned about the bloodline boundary of many famous people in the Imperial City. I'm full, Mu Feng replied, and turned his attention to the front again. Buzz buzz. The clearly visible true essence lingered on the 4 metal chains in front of Renwei. The dazzling golden luster seemed to have been soaked in the holy light of the sun, making them look like 4 divine metal chains. At this moment, Song Qinglai, He Qingyin, Lu Yu, and many other people from the Tensei Prefecture all had serious expressions on their faces. Chu Hen stood calmly in front of his opponent, unmoving like a mountain. Not even the fluctuation of true essence could be felt. He, trying to play psychological warfare with me? Unfortunately, I don't fall for it. Along with Run Wei's disdainful sneer, the surging aura of a level 6 natal opening realm exploded from his body like a mountain torrent. The 4 metal chains instantly grew to over 10 meters long, and with an incomparably fierce and powerful force, they ruthlessly smashed towards Chu Hen in front of him. Whoosh! The rapid wind-breaking sound was like the roar of a ghost. The 4 golden metal chains were like the giant swinging tail of the snake demon, powerful and extremely destructive. The biting cold aura shook the airflow in all directions. In front of everyone's eyes, 4 black shadows shot down. Facing the 4 metal chains coming down from above, Chu Hen's eyes narrowed. He immediately mobilized his true essence and quickly gathered it at his feet. In an instant, both of Chu Hen's legs were wrapped in a dense black light. Whoosh! When the metal chains whizzed towards him, Chu Hen immediately used the Big Dipper roaming dragon steps and dashed backwards at the speed of the 7 stars. Boom! In the next instant, the 4 golden chains heavily smashed onto the place where Chu Hen was a second ago. The ground shook, rocks flew everywhere, and rocks flew everywhere. Chapter 84. Boom! 4 godly iron-like golden chains dragged out a series of black shadows in the air. Then, they heavily smashed onto the ground where Chu Hen was a second ago. A violent tremor spread out from beneath the feet of the crowd. Dust flew into the air, and rocks flew everywhere. Countless deep cracks rapidly spread out in all directions like a spider web. Numerous dark cracks directly extended for 7 to 8 meters. Seeing this scene, countless people in the surroundings could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Renwei's strength was indeed incomparably strong. The strength of this attack alone was probably enough to smash a 4th or 5th grade great demon into minced meat. Looking at the scattered and powerful true energy shockwaves, Song Qinglai, Mu Feng, Li Hui, and the other instructors and students from Tensei Prefecture could not help but worry for Chu Hen once again. It was obvious that Renwei was determined to kill him. You're pretty fast at escaping. Renwei sneered with contempt. The corner of Chu Hen's eyes flashed with a cold light as he indifferently replied, I still have 2 more moves. That's enough to kill you. Boom! Renwei's body once again released a surging, piercingly cold aura, causing a violent wave to resound in the air. The 4 golden chains were already dancing in the air. Rings of golden halos lingered above and below the chains, as if they were the essence extracted from the divine light of the sun. Swoosh! In a split second, the 4 chains streaked across the sky one after another. The first 2 chains swept towards Chu Hen's waist from the left and right sides with a sweeping force. The attack was ferocious and as fast as lightning. The rapid breaking of the wind sounded like the shriek of a ghost. The expressions of the crowd below changed. With the strength of a 3rd-level natal opening realm, there was no way Chu Hen could withstand this pincer attack. Buzz buzz. However, just at that moment, a strange and obscure power quietly spread out from Chu Hen's body. One could see that the true yuan that lingered around his body was actually faintly mixed with strands of demonic purple light. Chu Hen's eyes focused as a faint purple glow gushed out from the depths of his pitch-black eyes. Swoosh! Chu Hen exerted strength in his legs and leaped up quickly. His movements were smooth as he flashed into the air about 2 meters above the ground. Bang! In the next second, the ice-cold iron chains that attacked from the left and right brushed past Chu-Hen's feet and collided with each other in a crisscross manner. True essence converged, and sparks flew in all directions. The disorderly chi waves leaked out from Chu-Hen's body. Then, Renwei's next round of attacks followed closely behind. Hee, stupid thing. Let's see how you're going to hide in the air. Just now, Renwei had used the 2 chains to attack from the left and right to force Chu-Hen into the air. Suspended in the air, there was no point for him to exert his strength. It could be said that he had become a target for Renwei's attacks. Swish! As soon as he finished speaking, the 3rd chain dragged out a powerful wave of chi in the air. Its biting, cold momentum was like the swaying tail of a flood dragon. Once hit, all the bones in one's body would be shattered in an instant. Go to hell. A sinister sneer appeared on Renwei's face. It's too early for you to be happy. Whoosh! A crisp metal trill sounded in everyone's ears. With a flash of white light, a dark golden spear engraved with black patterns appeared in Chu-Hen's palm. Violent and domineering black light climbed up the spear's body in an instant, and the restless energy fluctuations were like black flames covering the spear. Break! Chu-Hen shouted and sent out the Demon Slayer spear. The tip of the spear, which was leaping with black light, tore through the air and rolled up a destructive power to meet the iron chain that was flying toward him. What a domineering, true essence. Standing on the sidelines, someone blurted out. Beside her, He-Ching Yuan, Bien Hong, Wu Zhe, and several other direct students of Minor Shilan were also surprised. Everyone could clearly feel that the black power released by Chu-Hen was much more domineering than ordinary true essence. It seems that this bastard has many secrets. Minter Shi Hui from Tifeng province could not help but narrow his eyes, and the coldness between his brows deepened. He then sneered and said, "Humph, no matter how extraordinary you are, you're definitely not Renwei's match." Boom! Bang! In an instant, the sharp spear light heavily bombarded the iron chain that was shrouded in golden light, and a thunderous explosion spread in the air. After all, Renwei's strength was 3 levels higher than Chu-Hen's. In a head-on confrontation of strength, it was difficult for Chu-Hen to gain any advantage. The violent impact that was like a mountain came crashing over. Chu-Hen only felt his arm go numb and his palm hurt, and the Demon Slayer spear was forcefully knocked away. Clang! The Demon Slayer spear that was knocked away drew an arc in the air, and then it was inserted diagonally in the gap between 2 stone bricks. Beautiful, Senior Brother Renwei. Yeah, even his weapon was knocked away. Let's see if that brat still doesn't die. Senior Brother Renwei, kill him and avenge Senior Brother Renchong. The crowd from Tifeng province raised their arms and shouted, filled with righteous indignation. It seemed that they would not stop until they saw Chu-Hen die in Renwei's hands. Whoosh! In the next instant, the attack of the 4th iron chain came as expected. Rumble! The surging sound was like rolling thunder, and the 4th iron chain increased by more than 20 meters. As it traversed the sky, the front of the iron chain quickly twisted into a ball. When it reached in front of Chu-Hen, it impressively formed a ball made of iron chain. A dazzling light bloomed, and the ball that was wrapped by the iron chain was like a bright little sun. A shocking destructive aura filled the entire place, and the murderous intent was awe-inspiring, stirring up the airflow in all directions. Oh no! On the side of the Heavenly Star Marshall House, the complexion of the crowd changed. Chu-Hen, who had yet to completely land on the ground, was simply unable to dodge this attack. Even if this berserk power couldn't kill Chu-Hen, it would still be enough to make him lose half his life. Just as Song Qinglai was hesitating whether to make a move or not, a circle of purple light rapidly rotated up and down Chu-Hen's arms. The demonic purple light was like 2 horned dragons wrapped around his arms. This is... Everyone in the room was astonished. In the next instant, the violent true Yuan rapidly gathered at the center of his palms. Beams of brilliance revolved like a small whirlpool. Without any hesitation, Chu Hen threw out both of his palms. The surging tide-like shockwave immediately swept out. Mountain-destroying waterfall palm. Bang! The power of the mountain-destroying waterfall palm, which was amplified several times by the bloodline boundary of the holy demon-eye body, was like a mountain torrent. The huge force of the shock wave rolled up a whistling strong wind and directly hit the golden ball that was wrapped by the iron chain. The collision of the two violent forces caused the surrounding airflow to tremble violently, and waves of waves stacked up like waves. The golden and purple light were like two blooming suns. Under the impact of the brutal aftermath, a large number of stone bricks on the ground were shattered, and a pit with a diameter of more than 10 meters appeared in front of everyone's eyes. What? He blocked it. Who the hell is this guy? How could he block senior brother Ren Wei's killing move? Chu Hen quickly retreated, and the circles of purple light scattered like smoke and dust. Whether it was the people from Tifeng Province or Tensei Prefecture, everyone present was shocked by the scene in front of them. Ren Wei's attack was so powerful that even Wu Xiao, who was at the same level as him, did not dare to take it head-on. However, Chu Hen, who was 3 levels lower, was able to take on this killing move head-on. Chu Hen stabilized himself after retreating more than 10 steps. His handsome face became slightly pale, and the blood in his body surged. He forcefully swallowed back the salty taste in his throat. Chu Hen knew very well that if it was not for the increase in power of the chaotic body and the holy demon-eye body, the attack just now would have been enough to kill him. This once again proved that Ren Wei's attack was vicious, and he definitely wanted to kill him. In that instant, a cold light surged in Chu Hen's eyes, and a smear of anger quietly rose. I've underestimated you. Then, I'll definitely make you bleed on the spot. A vicious smile appeared on Ren Wei's face, and a violent aura that was several times more powerful than before rose. The chaotic airwaves swept up the rubble and dust on the ground. Everyone's expression changed again. Stop! Song Chunya's eyes turned cold, and he shouted, 3 moves have passed. What else do you want? With that, Song Chunlai was about to rush out to stop him. However, Shi Hui from Tifeng Province moved and blocked his way. 2 moves have passed out of the 3. There's still 1 more. What's the rush? Spit shit on your mother. Get lost. Shi Hui's expression was extremely gloomy as he faced Song Chunlai, who was spewing vulgarities. He shouted in a deep voice, "This is a matter between the younger generation. Let's not interfere. If you want to pass, you'll have to go through me first." Boom! However, it was also at this moment that Ren Wei had completed his final attack. The 4 chains controlled by his hands intertwined with each other and turned into 2 thicker chains that shone with a dazzling golden light. In the next moment, the 2 newly completed chains were like 2 snakes coming out of their caves. They swept up an unstoppable and shocking power and attacked Chu Hen. Buzz, buzz! As they moved, the golden light that enveloped the chains transformed into the silhouette of a giant python. From afar, it looked so ferocious that it was as if a ferocious monster was attacking. This is bad. Senior brother Chu Hen is in danger. Li Hui clenched his fists with a serious expression. Compared to the move that Rin Chong had used during the Star Prodigy competition, there was a world of difference between this move and the one before them. Rin Chong could only condense 1 golden python, but Ren Wei released 2. This was not just a difference in numbers. Even their auras exuded extreme destructive power. Moreover, Chu Hen did not even have a weapon in his hands at the moment. It was almost impossible to block this move. Chu Hen was in danger. This was the common thought in everyone's mind. Chapter 85. Not good. Chu Hen was in danger. Looking at the 2 ominous golden pythons that Ren Wei had condensed, Song Chunlai, Mu Feng, Li Hui, He Qingyuan, and the others, all the instructors and students of the Heavenly Star Martial House had their complexions change. Each and every one of them had a dignified look in their eyes. Compared to the moves that Rin Chong had released during the Star Prodigy competition, the aura that Ren Wei exuded was many times stronger. The surging and surging destructive might completely enveloped Chu Hen within it. Rinwei's face was already filled with a sinister and cold smile. Go to hell. What an arrogant and foolish thing. Double snakes, kill him. Buzz buzz. Two golden python phantoms with iron chains acting as the backbone swayed their long bodies and charged towards Chu Hen, one on the left and one on the right. The ferocious momentum was full of anger and murderous intent. A cold and solemn air current pervaded in all directions. Chu Hen's cold gaze reflected the two golden python shadows that were approaching from far away. In the next moment, an incomparably overbearing true origin energy erupted from Chu Hen's body. Roar! Shortly after, a deep but extremely dignified dragon roar resounded in everyone's ears. What? A dense black flame-like light lingered around Chu Hen's body. The piercingly cold aura caused the air to tremble and buzz. The black light was like a horned dragon wrapped around Chu Hen's arms. Chu Hen condensed his palms, and two small and exquisite black dragon shadows rotated in his left and right palms respectively. Nine-soul dragon seal. Chu Hen shouted and pushed his palms toward the two golden pythons that had already arrived in front of him. Roar! In an instant, the two black dragon shadows were enraged. The moment they swept out from Chu Hen's palms, they directly expanded to 5 to 6 meters long. A terrifying deterrent swept in all directions. Third move. Boom! The two golden python phantoms and the two black dragon phantoms were like ferocious beasts that he had encountered by chance. When these two violent forces intersected, an incomparably violent, true inner force shockwave exploded in the square. In everyone's eyes, it was as if the world had dimmed a little. The disorderly and wanton beams of light were like blooming fireworks. Sand and pebbles flew on the ground, and dust flew everywhere. A shock wave rippled out, and many people were forced to retreat. Two different colors of light, gold and black, tore and mixed with each other. Boom! Along with a thunderous sound, the golden python shadow and the black dragon shadow exploded almost at the same time, and the startling light was as dazzling as the sun. A mass of scattered energy fragments flew everywhere, and the bricks on the ground were lifted up layer by layer, shattering inch by inch. As the crisscrossing cracks spread, Chu Hen was once again sent flying. The surging impact invaded his body, causing his chi and blood to surge. A trickle of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. However, the scene that unfolded before their eyes caused countless people to widen their eyes in shock. They were all stunned, and their faces were filled with disbelief. He blocked it. Chu Hen, with the strength of the third rank of the element opening realm, once again blocked the killing move of Rinwei, who was at the 6th rank of the element opening realm. Ha ha! Well done, Mu Feng shouted, raising his arms. Senior brother Chu Hen, well done, Li Hui echoed excitedly. 3 moves have passed. What else do you people from Tifeng province have to say? Apart from a shock, the people from Tensei Prefecture cheered. Song Chunglia's heart was finally at ease. Even though he was used to seeing a lot of big scenes, he was still sweating for Chu Hen just now. This guy really has some tricks up his sleeve. He Qingyin, who was standing at the side of the square, nodded in agreement. Lu Yu's beautiful eyes glowed faintly. However, Bian Hong and Wu Zhe, who were standing at the side, did not feel happy at all because of Chu Hen's inspiring performance. It was as if to them, it was only reasonable for Chu Hen to lose. Buzz. Suddenly, just when everyone in the square thought the battle was over, a strong killing intent exploded from Renwei's body again. His eyes were red and as cold as a knife. The young man in front of him was able to block 3 of his moves. This kind of person would definitely cause trouble in the future if he kept him around. In order to avoid trouble in the future, Rinwei couldn't care less about the 3 moves promise or face anymore. With just a thought, a sharp shadow flew out from his belt. What? Everyone in the square was shocked. What flew out from Rinwei's belt was the 5th ice-cold chain. It was obvious that Rinwei's belt was a special lock with a hidden chain. His killer move, the 5th chain, was hidden in it. This was really unexpected. What was even more shocking was that there was a sharp blade at the end of the fifth chain that flew towards Chu Hen. Looking at the sharp blade, everyone could not help but imagine Chu Hen's tragic fate of being splattered with blood on the spot. Bastard! Song Chunglie's eyes widened in anger. He instinctively rushed towards Chu Hen. However, everything happened too suddenly, and Song Chunglai was too far away, so he could not stop him in time. The Emperor Wind Martial House's mentor, Shi Hui, also did not expect Renwei to do this. Although it was not very honorable, Shi Hui still had a sneer on his face. Chu Hen, under the furious gazes of the shocked Mu Feng, Li Hui, and the others, the chain with the sharp blade instantly reached Chu Hen. Chu Hen's cold eyes reflected the sharp blade, and there was a demonic purple light dancing in his deep eyes. Nirvana, light of destruction, whoosh. However, just as Chu Hen was about to activate the Nirvana power of the one-star monstrous pupil, a verdant, jade-like willow leaf without any warning streaked across the air in a beautiful arc, then accurately struck the iron chain. Ding! The crisp sound was very pleasing to the ear. The chain, which was as thick as an arm, was cut off by the willow leaf like tofu. The cut was unusually neat and smooth. Everyone present was shocked. In the next instant, when Chu Hen narrowly avoided this disaster, the willow leaf that had cut off the chain actually made a turn in the air. It drew a beautiful arc like a meteor and flew towards Renwei. Renwei's pupils shrank, but he could not even dodge it. Bang! The green willow leaf directly hit Renwei's body like a shooting star. Renwei was directly sent flying and fell to the ground in a sorry state. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Immediately, an awe-inspiring aura came from the area behind everyone. Everyone looked in that direction and saw 7 majestic stone pillars standing on the stone platform in the middle of the square. Beside the leftmost stone pillar stood a lady with long, light purple hair. Whoosh! As soon as they saw that beautiful figure, the atmosphere in the square became restless and noisy. Even Shi Hui, the core tutor of Tifeng Province, had a change of expression, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. Countless people present had a burning look in their eyes. It's Tutor Shilan. An excited voice came from the crowd. In an instant, the whole square was in chaos. He Qingyan, Lu Yu, Bian Hong, and the others' eyes lit up. Meanwhile, Mu Feng, who was standing next to Li Hui and Zhou Lu, had a look of admiration on his face. His dull eyes and slightly open mouth made him look like a little fool. Tutor Shilan. Ha! I've finally seen her. I feel like my heart is about to stop beating. Sigh. Li Hui and Zhou Lu sighed at the same time. Then, they quietly walked away with tacit understanding, staying far away from Mu Feng. She's Tutor Shilan? Chu Hen was surprised. He was also shocked by Shilan's beauty. Under her slender eyebrows were a pair of bright eyes that were as moving as autumn water. Her cheeks were slightly rosy, and her skin was as fair as snow. Her exquisite oval face was flawless. Coupled with her beautiful, long, purple hair, she looked like an otherworldly fairy. Chu Hen finally understood why 99% of the new students in Tensei Prefecture came for Tutor Shilan every year. Such a beautiful face could topple cities and countries. Shilan stood quietly on the spot. She had no intention of walking over. Her soft, beautiful, and enchanting eyes stopped on Chu Hen's body for a while with some surprise. This little fellow had not listened to her lessons for a month. He was really different from other people. Shi Hui. After a brief silence, Song Chunglai looked at Shi Hui with an interrogative and angry gaze. What a good student you've taught. You talk like you're spouting shit. Do you have any shame? Shi Hui's face was gloomy. He glanced at Renwei, who was being helped up from the ground, with a look of exasperation. He cursed in his heart. He couldn't even kill a little brat at the 3rd level of the element opening realm, and now he's in such a dilemma. What do you want? Shi Hui replied unkindly. You're asking me what I want? What a joke. Shi Hui's face turned even uglier. He glared fiercely at Chu Hen, then pointed at him and said, Brat, you're lucky today. After saying that, Shi Hui flung his sleeves and shouted indignantly, "Let's go! Go!" The people in Tifeng province didn't gain any advantage. Even if they stayed here, there wouldn't be any results. However, just as Shi Hui and the others turned around, a thunderous and deep voice suddenly exploded in the sky above 7-Star Square. "Go! Humph! After causing so much trouble, you want to leave so easily? Do you think my Tensei prefecture is a market?" What? Everyone's expressions changed again and again. In the next moment, an incomparably powerful and majestic pressure surged forth from the rear region of the Heavenly Star Martial House. Everyone present felt as if they were being suppressed by the mountain-like pressure. Chapter 86. Leave? Oomph. You want to leave so easily after stirring up so much trouble? Do you think my Tensei prefecture is a vegetable market? A deep and forceful voice, like a thunderclap, suddenly exploded in the skies above the 7 Stars Plaza. In the next moment, an incomparably powerful and majestic pressure surged forth from the rear region of the Heavenly Star Martial House. A strong wind blew as if a thunderstorm was about to pour down. The terrifying aura that was comparable to a mountain suppressed everyone present. Boom! A thunderous explosion exploded above everyone's heads. Immediately, a solidified golden light pillar descended from the sky. It descended in a graceful manner and landed in the empty space between the two sides of the square. Buzz! The surging illusory airwave swept across the army like a blanket, and an invisible shockwave attacked the people of Tifeng province. In an instant, apart from Shi Hui, everyone from Tifeng province was thrown to the ground. Shi Hui retreated continuously and only managed to stabilize himself after taking more than 10 steps back. Although he did not fall to the ground like the others, his face was red, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Whoosh! The entire place was shocked as everyone's gazes looked towards the figure that had appeared in front of them. It was an old man in his 50s with a few strands of white hair. Dressed in a long white robe, he had an otherworldly air about him. "Greetings, Principal Jiang." Song Qinglai and the other teachers of Tensei Prefecture cupped their fists and bowed respectfully. He Qing'en, Bian Hong, Lu Yu, and the other students also humbly and politely greeted him in unison. "Greetings, Principal Jiang, Principal Jiang." Chu Hen, who was not far away, was stunned. The person in front of him was actually the person with the highest authority in Tensei Prefecture. Just his aura alone was enough to make the people of Tifeng province unable to withstand it. Principal Jiang's cultivation level was unfathomable. As soon as Principal Jiang appeared, the people of Tifeng province were shocked. Shi Hui casually wiped off the blood at the corner of his mouth, cupped his fists, and said with some hatred in his tone, "Principal Jiang, oomph, it's that old brat Yu Yin who gave you the guts to come to my Tensei Prefecture to cause trouble?" Principal Jiang said coldly. Shi Hui was startled and replied in a low voice, Dean Yu." The smile on Principal Jiang's face grew colder and colder. "If that old brat Yu Yin didn't send you here, does that mean that you were the one who organized this? You got some guts. Did he think that this elder couldn't walk anymore? How can I allow you juniors to cause trouble in my academy?" "Principal Jiang, please calm down. I wouldn't dare to." Although Shi Jin said that he did not dare, he was not convinced. He had the backing of Tifeng province, and with Yu Yin backing him up, why would he be afraid of this old fellow? If it had been during the glory days of Tensei Prefecture, Shi Hui would have been a little afraid. However, things are different now. Tensei Prefecture, which was at the bottom, no longer had the awe-inspiring dignity. However, Principal Jiang was able to see through his thoughts with a single glance. A hint of coldness flashed across his eyes as he said, "You've brought so many people with you today. If you don't even say a word of apology and leave just like that, wouldn't you be throwing away the face of my Heavenly Star Martial House?" Principal Jiang is right. I would like to apologize to everyone for my momentary recklessness. An apology without sincerity is meaningless. Principal Jiang replied indifferently. Then his eyes turned cold and his tone suddenly turned cold. He spat out 2 words clearly. "Kneel." Kneel. His voice was loud and sonorous. The people of Tifeng province looked indignant. Shi Hui even frowned, and his face darkened. Principal Jiang, I've already apologized. Please have mercy and don't be so overbearing. Why? Are you threatening me? I don't dare to threaten Principal Jiang. I just hope that Tifeng province and Tensei prefecture can get along well. Leave some leeway for each other in case we meet again in the future. I believe that Principal Yu Yin thinks so too. Buzz. As soon as Shi Hui finished speaking, a powerful and cold aura erupted from Principal Jiang's body. Shi Hui's body trembled involuntarily, and he seemed to have become shorter. Don't use Yu Yin to pressure me. Principal Jiang's gaze was like a torch. His cold gaze was like a sharp blade that could penetrate one's soul, causing Shi Hui to tremble from the bottom of his heart. You're just a mere teacher, and you dare to threaten me? Even if this dean kills you with a single palm strike, what can that Yu Yin do to me? You brought the students of Tifeng province here to stir up trouble today. Even if Yu Yin was here and I wanted to take your life, what would he say? I won't repeat myself. If you kneel and apologize today, don't even think about walking out of the gates of Tensei Prefecture. Principal Zhang's attitude was very firm. At the same time, the aura he exuded was irresistible. Shi Hui was so scared that his face turned ashen, but he did not dare to talk back. However, it was really difficult for him to kneel and apologize. Sensing the coldness in Principal Zhang's eyes, Shi Hui secretly thought that given Principal Zhang's hot temper, he might really kill him. Then, he thought that this was Tensei Prefecture. Even if he was killed, it would be difficult for the principal of Tifeng province to seek justice for him. After weighing the pros and cons, he had no choice but to admit defeat today. Shi Hui immediately clenched his teeth and made up his mind. He knelt on the ground and said, Principal Jiang, please forgive me for what happened today. Shi Hui regretted it as soon as he said it. This was a great humiliation. Shi Hui, who was angry and embarrassed, only wanted to find a hole to hide in. In an instant, everyone in Tensei Prefecture was secretly pleased. It was really satisfying to vent their anger. Just earlier, these people were extremely smug. As expected, only someone as domineering as Principal Jiang could suppress them. As for the rest of the people in Tifeng province, each and every one of them had a grave expression on their faces. They were all embarrassed. Originally, they came to seek justice for Renchong today. Who would have thought that not only would they not seek justice, they would be slapped in the face instead? The mistake was that Shi Hui had overestimated his own abilities and underestimated the Heavenly Star Martial House. At least you know what's good for you. Principal Jiang replied nonchalantly. Shi Hui's face was ghastly pale. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He was still too inexperienced in front of Principal Jiang. Filled with anger, he clenched his teeth and stood up. Principal Jiang, we'll take our leave now. As soon as he finished speaking, he was about to leave with the people in Tifeng province. Wait! A calm voice resonated from Principal Jiang's mouth again. Shi Hui clenched his fists and turned around with an extremely ugly expression. He said, Is there anything else, Principal Jiang? That was your apology just now. What about him? Principal Jiang pointed at Ren Wei, who was not far behind Shi Hui. The latter's expression changed, and he looked confused. Principal Jiang said nonchalantly, We agreed on 3 moves, but you used the 4th move. You bullied a student in Tensei Prefecture just like that, and you want to leave without saying anything? Everyone was stunned, and they turned to look at Chu Hen instinctively. Even Chu Hen himself was somewhat astonished. Principal Jiang had actually started to stand up for him again. Ren Wei clenched his fists and clenched his teeth. I'm sorry. An apology isn't enough. Principal Jiang looked at him with a smile. His smile made Ren Wei's hair stand on end. This stinky old man still won't let it go. Ren Wei cursed in his heart. Then he suppressed the dissatisfaction in his heart and said, What instructions does Principal Jiang have for me? It's very simple. You went against the agreement and almost killed him. I don't want you to pay with your life. Just leave an hour behind. What? As soon as these words came out, everyone present revealed looks of astonishment. Ren Wei felt a chill in his heart. From Principal Zhang's expression, it did not seem like he was joking. Rinwei quickly turned to look at Shi Hui for help. The latter immediately persuaded, Principal Jiang, it's inevitable that young people will be impulsive and make mistakes. Please don't be calculative with a junior. It's fine if I don't want your arm, but shouldn't you give me some compensation for bullying a student in this school? Compensation. Principal Jiang was obviously extorting him. Rinwei clenched his teeth. Fine, I'll give him compensation. I don't want it if it's too shabby. Principal Zhang's casual words could make everyone in Tifeng province sick from anger. This old man was really hard to deal with. Rinwei suppressed the anger in his heart. He moved his palm and took out a square jade piece the size of a thumb. Spirit Fall Talisman. That should be enough to compensate him. Spirit Fall Talisman? The moment they heard these 3 words, the entire place was in a low hubbub. Even Chu Hen's heart was moved. He was not unfamiliar with the famous Spirit Fall Talisman. This was a treasure refined by a pattern master. Pattern masters were a special and powerful group. They walked the world with the power to draw and inscribe runes. The domain of pattern masters was very broad. For example, setting up spirit arrays, refining elixirs, forging weapons, etc. All of these were centered around pattern masters. But this Spirit Fall Talisman required extremely precious materials to be refined. Pattern masters had to use mysterious and powerful runes to refine it. Only then could they obtain this treasure. Pattern masters had an extremely high status in the Saint Star dynasty. The 3 words were a symbol of noble status. Principal Jiang glanced at the Spirit Fall Talisman and said indifferently, "It's not bad, but what I say doesn't count. You have to satisfy the victim." Rinwei almost spat out a mouthful of blood when he heard what Principal Jiang said. This Spirit Fall Talisman was something that his family spent a lot of money to obtain. It was not easy for him to obtain it to protect himself. The destructive power of a Spirit Fall Talisman was enough to severely injure or even kill Wu Xiao, who was below the core transformation stage. Rinwei only had 2 in total. If he knew this would happen, he would have used a Spirit Fall Talisman to kill Chu Hen. Thank you, senior brother Rinwei, for your gift. Chu Hen took the jade piece from Runway's hand without hesitation. Runway glared at him fiercely. Let me give you a word of advice. Don't be too greedy. Don't blame me if you die. Chapter 87. Let me give you a word of advice. Don't eat too much. Don't blame me if you choke to death. Hee. Thank you for the reminder, senior brother Rinwei. I'll remember it. A faint smile hung on Chu Hen's face as he generously put the fallen spirit talisman into his pocket. He did not look embarrassed at all. Rinwei's eyes were filled with hatred and viciousness. Under Shi Hui's lead, he immediately left with the people from Tifeng province. They came arrogantly, but they left with their tails between their legs. Looking at the members of the Emperor Wen Martial House who were eating in silence, the Heavenly Star Martial House's side erupted in a thunderous applause that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Everyone raised their arms and cheered in delight. It was really refreshing to vent their anger. Of course, no one had expected that this matter would even alarm Principal Jiang. Once Principal Jiang got angry, it wouldn't be easy to get rid of him. Principal Jiang turned to look at the crowd and shouted, "From today onwards, no matter what, as long as other academies dare to cause trouble in our Tensei prefecture, just go up and beat them up. Go up and give them a good beating. Don't talk nonsense with them. Beat them up as a group and give them a good beating." Boom! The moment he said that, everyone cheered and applauded. This old man is not bad. He suits my taste. Mu Feng grinned. No way. You even like men? Moreover, he's an old man. Your taste is too heavy, Zhou Lu said with a look of disgust and disdain. Pooey. Mu Feng almost jumped up in anger. He pointed at Zhou Lu and scolded. You stupid girl, why are your 4 symbols so dirty? How can you slander me? If you dare to spout nonsense again, believe it or not, you won't even know how you got pregnant. You. Zhou Lu's eyes widened in anger. Without another word, she took out a long whip and lashed it at Mu Feng. Do you believe that I won't beat you to death today, you scoundrel? F*CK, If there's something you want to say, don't hit me. F asterisk CK. You're still hitting me. UB asterisk TCH. I'm going to press you to the ground. Mufeng was immediately whipped by Zhou Lu, causing him to jump up and down and run around. Li Hui, who was at the side, shook his head and sighed. It was as if his life was shrouded in a shadow after meeting these two friends. Just at that moment, Principal Jiang walked in front of Chu Hen with a warm smile in his eyes. You're the little guy who won first place in the Star Elite competition. Student Chu Hen greets Principal Jiang. Chu Hen cupped his fists and saluted. You're welcome. Principal Jiang's gaze was calm, which was different from his previous domineering attitude. Do you regret coming to my Tensei prefecture? I regretted it before, but I don't anymore, Chu Hen replied without hesitation. Initially, Chu Hen came to Tensei prefecture because he had nowhere else to go. But when trouble came to him, the martial house protected him. This made Chu Hen feel touched. At this moment, he understood that Tensei prefecture was not as bad as he had imagined. Ha ha! Hearing Chu Hen's reply, Principal Jiang laughed heartily. Not bad, not bad. This old man likes honest people. Go and nurse your injuries. The rest of you, go and do what you need to do. Yes, Principal Jiang. The crowd gathered in the square dispersed one after another. After Principal Jiang turned and left, Chu Hen swept his gaze towards the high platform in the middle of the square. The beautiful figure that was originally standing beside the 7 majestic stone pillars had left. Did Instructor Shilon leave? Chu Hen muttered to himself. Just now, when he was in imminent peril, Teacher Shilon had lent him a helping hand. Chu Hen had wanted to thank her, but he hadn't expected her to leave so early. Senior Brother Qing Yuan, where does Instructor Shilon live? Chu Hen walked to the side of He Qing, Lu Yu, Bian Hong, and the others who were about to leave. Why? Why do you ask? Bian Hong said with a hint of mockery. Nothing. I just wanted to thank Instructor Shilon. Next time. He Qing Yuan smiled gently. Instructor Shilon doesn't like to be disturbed. None of us have been to her place of cultivation. It won't be too late to look for her during the next lesson. Chu Hen nodded. Thank you for telling me, senior brother. No problem. Not bad. Lu Yu casually patted Chu Hen's shoulder. A trace of a smile appeared in her big, watery eyes. I didn't expect you to be able to take 3 moves from Renwei. Senior sister must be joking. I was just lucky. Chu Hen smiled humbly. Bian Hong and Wu Zhe, who were at the side, had a rather cold attitude. The two of them minded their own business and left. After a simple conversation, Chu Hen bade farewell and left. Rat, rat. Mufeng went back to his room and muttered loudly. Creak. The door to Haozi's room opened. A valiant-looking Haozi walked out with bright eyes. You guys are back. Chu Hen and Mufeng were both startled. The two of them could clearly feel that the true Yuan in Haozi's body was much more vigorous than before. Rat, you've broken through? Mufeng asked. Haozi grinned and scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. I have to thank Junior Brother Chu Hen for the high-grade primal crystal stones. I've already opened my 9th martial meridian. 9 martial meridians opened, channel opening realm level 9. Although this cultivation was nothing to the current Chu Hen, it was something to be happy about for Haozi, who had ordinary talent and lived in poverty since childhood. Congratulations. Chu Hen was sincerely happy for him. Junior Brother Chu Hen, why do you look so pale? Did something happen? Seeing Chu Hen's pale face, Haozi could not help but ask. Since Haozi had been cultivating since last night, he did not know what had just happened. Just now, Chu Hen had suffered a small injury in his battle with Renwei. It's nothing, it's just a small problem. You guys talk, I'll go in and rest for a while. With that, Chu Hen returned to his room. Haozi curiously asked Mufeng. Mufeng shrugged and spread his hands. The people from Tifeng province came this morning to ask for compensation. Not only did they not receive the compensation, they even compensated Chu Hen for mental damage. Can you explain it more clearly? Haozi was confused. Your IQ is too low. You can't understand it. Go play with the mud yourself. 2 hours later, in the room, Chu Hen, who was sitting on the bed, slowly opened his eyes and let out a long sigh of relief. After a bout of exercise and conditioning, Chu Hen's condition had basically recovered. His pale complexion also had a bit of vigor. My strength is still not enough. Chu Hen narrowed his eyes. There were too many geniuses who were more outstanding than him in the Imperial City. The result of being the first among the newcomers was far from enough. In front of a true genius, it was really not enough. With a thought, a white light flashed, and a jade bottle appeared in Chu Hen's palm. This vitality pill should be able to help me break through again, Chu Hen murmured. In Tensei Prefecture, only those who had more than 3,000 star points could get a vitality pill. For Wu Xiao, who was in the elemental opening realm, the vitality pill was very effective. Especially for the 1st to 5th rank elemental opening realm, it could play a more significant role. However, Chu Hen did not immediately consume the vitality pill. After all, he had just broken through to the 3rd rank of the elemental opening realm not long ago. The true energy within his body was still not stable enough. At the very least, he needed to wait for more than 10 days. If he was impatient for success, he would ultimately fail at the last step. Immediately, Chu Hen put away the vitality pill and took out a blue scroll. This was the same scroll that Eldering gave him at Nebula Pavilion today. Chu Hen slowly unfurled the scroll, and a complete cultivation method appeared in front of him. Ice Sealing Seal, refine true energy to the extreme cold, transform into ice, refine it into ice, refine it into ice, refine it into ice, refine it into ice, use it to attack and defend. On the day the seal is completed, its destructive power can match a core transformation realm battle skill. After reading the introduction, Chu Hen's eyes couldn't help but light up. Although the Sealing Ice Seal was a martial art of the natal opening realm, its power was comparable to a core transformation realm martial skill. This kind of thing was not common. After carefully reading it, Chu Hen finally understood. As it turned out, the difficulty of cultivating this Ice Sealing Seal was extremely high. First, one had to refine one's true energy to an extremely cold state before being able to use this battle skill. Just this threshold alone caused countless people to shake their heads and reject it. After all, it was an extremely difficult thing to change the attribute of one's true energy. If one didn't control it well, it would be fine if the martial skill was not successfully cultivated, but one would be afraid of the cold energy backlashing and injuring the meridians within the body. This Ice Sealing Seal is very suitable for Second Sister to cultivate. Long Xuan possessed the Ice Martial Physique, and 2 months ago, it had even been upgraded to the Ice Soul Battle Physique. People like her, who possessed the boundary of an extremely cold bloodline, could directly skip the previous steps. Unfortunately, the rules of Tensei Prefecture absolutely forbade lending martial skills to people from other academies to view. Once found out, the consequences would be extremely serious. Although the ice mystic energy of the Ice Moon Demon Wolf isn't the power of a bloodline boundary, it can still be fused and released with my true energy. I should have the conditions to directly condensing essence seal. Chu Hen secretly pondered for a moment, and his eyes immediately flashed with determination. Let's give it a try first. After carefully memorizing the cultivation method of the Ice Sealing Seal, Chu Hen began to enter a state of cultivation. At the same time as the true energy circulated, the ball of ice mystic energy within his body was released together. A thin veil-like white, profound energy pervaded from Chu Hen's body. The temperature within the room abruptly dropped. Under Chu Hen's control, the true energy that was fused with the ice mystic energy circulated according to the routine of the Ice Sealing Seal. Chu Hen's hands continuously evolved into various hand signs. Strands of white, profound energy, like a stream flowing into a river, slowly evolved and condensed in Chu Hen's palms. Chapter 88. Tensei Prefecture. In a majestic courtyard, the furnishings in the hall were antique, exuding a simple yet elegant aura. Compared to other places in the imperial capital, it was less luxurious and more quaint. Soon, it will be time for our students to go out for training. This year, The location is set at the Tianqi Mountains. Who's willing to lead the team? Principal Jiang stood at the top of the hall, his gentle gaze carrying a tinge of authority. On the wide chairs on both sides of the hall sat close to 10 mentors. These 10 mentors were the core team of Tensei Prefecture. Compared to the other tutors, every tutor here had their own beyonder powers. However, when they heard the words Tianqi Mountains, they could not help but frown slightly. Everyone knew that the Tianqi Mountains was not a friendly place. It was one of the most dangerous mountains in the Sacred Star Dynasty. Beasts ran amok there, poisonous insects, snakes, and ants were everywhere, and people from all walks of life gathered there. There were even residents of clans that were isolated from the world. All of these factors were dangerous. Seeing that no one responded, Song Chunglai stood up and said, "Principal Jiang, Chunglai is willing to lead the team." All the mentors couldn't help but look at him with admiration. No matter what happened, Song Chunglai would always be the first to stand up. However, Principal Jiang shook his head slightly. "Chunglai, you're already an elder of our academy. Leading a team for training isn't suitable for you. Then I recommend Mentor Shadowless." Song Chunglai said, "Shadowless?" Everyone's gaze swept toward the skinny man in black. However, what made everyone speechless was that Shadowless was leaning against the back of the chair like mud. His eyes were squinted, and there was a pungent smell of alcohol coming from his body. He was snoring from time to time. This bastard. The corner of Song Chunglie's eye twitched. He really had the urge to kick Shadowless to the ground. Not only was he drunk all day, but he was also snoring loudly at this time. The other mentors also shook their heads and sighed. However, Principal Jiang did not say anything. This was not the first time he had seen such a situation. Everyone seemed to be used to Shadowless's impoliteness. Even though he only knew how to drink all day, no one could doubt his teaching ability. However, with his current state, it was impossible for him to lead the team. Instructor Shilon, among all the instructors here, you're the only one who hasn't led a team before. You'll be the one to carry out the mission for this trip to Tianqi Mountain Range. Principal Jiang suddenly said. In an instant, everyone's gaze landed on a lithe and refined figure. From the beginning, Shilon just listened quietly and didn't say a word, but no one could ignore her existence. Her long purple hair was soft and beautiful, and her exquisite face was refracted by the light outside the door. She was as beautiful as a fairy that had fallen into the mortal world. Heavenly Lake Mountain Range is filled with danger, and numerous people of all sorts have gathered there. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for Shilon to protect the safety of the students. Shilan's red lips parted lightly, and her voice was gentle like the rain. Mr. Shilon, the safety of the students is important, but no matter how talented they are, it's all in vain for a flower that grows in a greenhouse. A young eagle that had never experienced life and death battles was destined to never grow up. I hope you can put in more effort for these children who have yet to grow up. I believe you can complete this mission. Shilon didn't say anything. Her limpid eyes faintly surged with an indescribable gloominess. In addition, I will send 2 senior mentors with rich experience to assist you. I wonder what Mentor Shilon thinks. Principal Jiang said. Shilan's beautiful eyes moved. She pondered for a moment and finally nodded her head. Then I'll have to trouble Mentor Shilon on this trip to Heavenly Lake Mountain Range. Also, if you encounter any teams from other high-ranked martial schools, try not to clash with them. With that, Principal Jiang turned his gaze to Song Chunglai, who was at the side, and said, Elder Chunglai, immediately announced the order. All students who have been in the school for less than 3 years, and whose strength is above the 9th level of the channel opening realm, can register to participate in this experiential meet. The mission of this experiential meet is called Heavenly Lake Demon Hunt. Yes, Principal Jiang. Maple forest stakes. Nearly 1,000 wooden stakes of different sizes and heights were erected without any pattern on the maple forest square. The purpose of this maple forest stake was to improve a student's balance, coordination, reaction speed, and other important functions. There was a formation under the tree stakes. Once the formation was activated, the originally fixed wooden stakes would move at will. At this time, the number of people who dared to stay on the wooden stake formation could be counted on one hand. Rumble. At this moment, the wooden stake formation seemed to be in an active state. A young figure nimbly and steadily moved back and forth on the willfully changing wooden stakes under his feet. The youth held a dark gold spear with black patterns. A 3-foot spear light lingered on the body of the spear. Even though the wooden stakes moved once every 2 seconds, Chu Hen's figure was still as steady as if he was walking on flat ground. Moreover, as Chu Hen moved on the wooden stakes of different heights and lengths, stones, leaves, dry branches, and other miscellaneous hidden weapons would fly in from all directions of the square. When the wooden stake formation was activated, the miscellaneous items on the ground around it would automatically become hidden weapons to attack. This directly increased the difficulty of the wooden stake formation. Ding! Chu Hen used his spear to deflect the flying stones, and the sharp spear light directly shattered them into pieces. Whoosh! In the next moment, a fiery red maple leaf flew from the right side, accompanied by a rapid wind-breaking momentum, a series of red afterimages in the air. At the same time, the wooden stake under Chu Hen's feet also moved in an instant. Facing this continuous danger, Chu Hen did not panic at all. When he lost his footing, he exerted force from his waist, and his whole body was almost parallel to the ground. Then his body spun, and the demon Punisher spear was sent out, accurately piercing the maple leaf. The sharp tip of the spear pierced through the maple leaf and picked it up at the end. Then Chu Hen did a backward somersault and steadily landed on the empty space outside the wooden stake formation. Whong! Then the maple leaf at the tip of the demon Punisher spear was like a broken bubble, instantly turning into fine dust. Good skills. At this time, a hearty laugh came. Chu Hen turned around and saw that the newcomer was actually He Qing Yuan. Senior brother Qing Yuan. Junior brother Chu Hen is truly talented. It's only been less than half a month, and you've already reached this level. I'm really ashamed. Senior brother Qing Yuan is joking. No, absolutely not. I only managed to stand on the wooden stake after half a month. At the time, senior brother Ji Xian laughed at me for a while. Ji Xian? Chu Hen was slightly surprised. He had seen this name on Nebula Pavilion's Star Branch ranking. Ji Xian was the number 1 on the Star Branch ranking, and also instructor Shi Lan's direct disciple. His accumulated star points exceeded 100,000, and Ji Xian was the undisputed number 1 in Tensei Prefecture. Junior brother Chu Hen, with your talent, you may be able to match up to senior brother Ji Xian in the future, He Qing Yuan said. Chu Hen smiled and did not say anything more on this matter. He then asked, Senior brother Qing Yuan, why are you alone? Where are the others? Today was the day instructor Shi Lan taught. Due to the many times of rudeness before, Chu Hen came early today. He Qing Yuan shook his head. Today's lesson is canceled. Canceled again? Chu Hen was startled. He Qing Yuan also found it a little funny. It had been so long, but Chu Hen had not listened to Shi Lan's lesson even once. He Qing Yuan patted Chu Hen's shoulder and said, Yes, in 3 days, we will be going to Heaven Lake Mountain Range to train. This time, instructor Shi Lan will be leading a team, so there are many things to prepare. Heaven Lake Mountain Range. Chu Hen's eyes flashed with surprise. Didn't big brother Long Qingyang go to Heaven Lake Mountain Range? It had already been half a month since the last Star Elite competition meet until today. During this time, Chu Hen had gone to look for Long Xuanchuang twice to ask about Long Qingyang, but he had not returned. This made Chu Hen feel uneasy. If he went to Heaven Lake Mountain Range this time, he might be able to check it out. Senior brother Qing Yuan, can we newcomers go? Chu Hen asked. Yes, the requirements to sign up for Heaven Lake Demon Hunt are students who have been in the school for less than 3 years and are at least at the 9th level of the channel opening realm. Is that so? Chu Hen's eyes lit up. Yes, go back and prepare well. Gather at 7 Star Square in 3 days. After talking with He Qing Yuan for a while, Chu Hen returned to his residence. News of the Heaven Lake Demon Hunt training had spread throughout Tensei Prefecture. Once they heard that Mentor Shi Lan was leading the team, everyone rushed to sign up. Of course, there were also a small number of people who were afraid of the dangers of Heaven Lake Mountain Range and were unwilling to participate. Back at his residence, Chu Hen began to tidy up. There are 3 days left. I can take the profound energy pill in the past dozen or so days. Chu Hen had basically been perfecting and practicing the punishing demon spear technique on the wooden stake array, as well as studying the sealing eye seal technique that he had just grasped. Right now, the true essence within his body had become solid and stable. So it was the appropriate time to take the profound Yuan Dan. With a flash of white light, a small jade bottle appeared in his palm. Removing the stopper, a rich medicinal smell wafted into his nose. Chu Hen poured the profound energy pill into his palm. The dark red pill contained an obscure and restless energy. A faint heat surged in Chu Hen's eyes. This profound energy pill should be able to help me break through to the 4th level of the element opening realm. Immediately, Chu Hen stuffed the profound energy pill into his mouth. The pill melted in his mouth and slid down his throat. Chapter 89. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The moment Chu Hen opened the door, a gust of fresh air rushed into his face. Chu Hen felt refreshed, his eyes and ears were clear, and his body was full. Compared to 3 days ago, his aura was clearly stronger. Junior brother Chu Hen. How's voice followed? Used to know to come out? There was no movement for 3 days. I thought you died in there. Mu Feng sat on a step with his legs crossed and a ruffian smile on his face. Chu Hen retorted without any trace of politeness and said, "Did you eat too much garlic? It's still early in the morning and your mouth is so dirty." F***CK. You're the one who ate too much garlic. This handsome Feng never eats that stuff. Stop arguing. How's he felt a headache coming on? It's time to gather at the Qixing Plaza. It's almost time to set off. Half a month ago, Housie had also opened his 9th martial meridian and stepped into the 9th level of channel opening realm. Naturally, he could also participate in the Heaven Lake demon hunt this time. At the mention of this, Mu Feng's eyes lit up and he immediately jumped up from the ground. Too cool, too cool. Mentor Shilan will be leading the team, and Bai Yuyue will also be participating. This handsome Feng's 2 ultimate goals are both. AI, you two, wait for me. I say, damn, why are you in such a hurry? Without waiting for Mu Feng to finish, Chu Hen and Housie directly walked out. The two could only ignore Mu Feng's shamelessness. At this moment, the Qixing Plaza, about 500 to 600 young men and women gathered here. The scene was lively, and the cheerful and crisp voices of the girls were full of youthful energy. Everyone's faces were brimming with excited smiles. For most of the people present, this was the first time participating in the Heaven Lake Mountain Range Training Conference. Especially if they were going in a group, it more or less felt like they were going out to play. Senior brother Chu Hen, you're here. Li Hui, Zhou Lu, and the rest walked up to greet Chu Hen and the rest. He Qing Yuan and Lu Yu also looked over to greet him. Chu Hen responded to each of them with a smile. The current Chu Hen could be considered a celebrity in the Heavenly Star Martial House. From winning the championship in the Rising Stars competition to receiving 3 killing moves from Ren Wei, who was at the 6th level of the natal opening realm. Just based on these 2 incidents, Chu Hen was enough to make many old students feel ashamed. What's there to be proud of? On the other side, Wu Zhe cast a cold gaze at him, then turned to Bian Hong and said, Senior Bian Hong, I think you need to find a chance to make him restrain himself and tame his spirit. Bian Hong sneered and crossed his arms in front of him, not caring at all. He's just a newbie. There's no need to care about him. But if there's a chance, as his senior, I should teach him how to restrain himself appropriately. Coldness surged in Wu Zhe's eyes. He had always been brooding over the fact that he was defeated by Chu Hen at the wooden stake array. This anger had been bottled up in his heart, and if he didn't vent it out, it would be unbearable. Chu Hen looked around and didn't see many new students. Of course, this was normal. Tensei Prefecture didn't recruit many new students this year, and there were even fewer who were at the 9th level of the channel opening realm and above. Even Li Hui, Zhou Lu, Housie, and the rest had advanced recently. At this moment, A young figure on the other side of the plaza appeared in Chu Hen's line of sight. It was an elegant young girl wearing a white floral dress. She stood there quietly, like a pure white lotus, sober and refined. Many men looked to her intentionally or unintentionally, but no one came forward to talk to her from beginning to end. Wow, Bai Yue! Mu Feng was so surprised that he almost jumped up in excitement. She was Bai Yue? Chu Hen was slightly taken aback, but he wasn't too surprised. He had more or less guessed it was her. Haha, this handsome Feng will let you experience the 36 stratagems of picking up a girl. Mu Feng suavely flipped his hair and strode forward. But before he could take 2 steps, He Ching Yuan's voice came from behind. If you don't want to die young, I advise you to stay here obediently. Huh? Mu Feng's heart skipped a beat. He turned around and glared at him. What did you say? Senior sister Bai's temper isn't very good, and she doesn't like people disturbing her. If you're lucky, you might just break a few ribs. If you're unlucky, you'll be bedridden for the rest of your life. He Ching Yuan's words caused Chu Hen to be stunned. Was he purposely trying to scare Mu Feng? No matter how you looked at it, Bai Yue looked gentle and virtuous, the type of girl from a respectable family. Her clear and pure eyes were filled with gentleness, and she looked completely like a docile little lamb. How could this be called having a bad temper? But looking at He Ching Yuan's expression, it didn't seem like he was joking at all. Mu Feng gulped and said with a strange expression, I say, senior brother, can you not tease me? I'm scared. Bai Yue looks as docile and cute as a kitten. How could she have a bad temper? Otherwise, why do you think none of the men present here dared to go up and talk to her? Then tell me, is it because the men who harassed her in the past were too ugly? I'm so handsome, so I should be treated differently, right? Then go and give it a try. He Ching Yuan raised his hand and made an inviting gesture. But looking at He Ching Yuan, Lu Yu, and the others' malicious smiles, Mu Feng only felt goosebumps in his heart. His small eyes turned, and he said to Haozi, who was beside him, Mouse, you go and give it a try first. Naturally, Haozi refused. He didn't want to participate in this matter in the first place. Chu Hen would even more not help the other party do this kind of thing. Mu Feng hesitated for a while, but in the end he still chose to observe for a while before deciding. He put it in a euphemistic way. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. Everyone couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. They were slowly getting used to this crazy Mu Feng. Not long after, 6 Tensei Prefecture mentors, led by Shilan, arrived. Shilan's cultivation was not something to worry about, but it was, after all, her first time leading a team to Tianqi Mountain Range. Therefore, Principal Jiang arranged for 2 high-level mentors and 3 mid-level mentors to assist in this mission. Wow! Seeing the appearance of Mentor Shilan, the atmosphere in the square instantly became restless. A light breeze blew past, lifting a strand of Shilan's long purple hair. Her beautiful eyes moved, and her long eyelashes gently fluttered. She looked at the faces in front of her that were not much younger than her. Her red lips moved slightly, and she said, Let's go. Let's go. In an instant, the vast group of people headed towards the gate of the academy in an orderly manner. Tianqi Mountain Range. This dangerous place was located 100 miles southwest of the capital. Just like the Boneless Mountain Range, Tianqi Mountain Range was also filled with demonic beasts, and it was filled with danger. There were many people from all walks of life gathered here, and there were also some local residents whose ancestors had lived there for generations. The sky was high, and the clouds were thin, and the eagles soared. The azure sky enveloped the surroundings, and the mountains and forests that rose and fell with great momentum were like a boundless green ocean. In the depths of the endless forest, the roars of various unknown demonic beasts were like interweaving music, but anyone could feel a dense sense of mystery and danger that made one's heart palpitate. The marching speed of the Tensei Prefecture was very fast, and there were no delays along the way. In just less than 2 days, the Tensei Prefecture's group had already reached the outer region. Looking at the gloomy and vast forest that was filled with unknown factors, many students who came with the mentality of sightseeing instantly lost their original interest. Many of the students who came with the mentality of sightseeing instantly lost their original interest, and some of the timid girls even began to hide behind their companions. Minter Shilon. This place is about 5 miles away from the Tianchi mountain range. The terrain is flat, and the height is moderate. It's more suitable to set up camp here. The one who spoke was a tall mentor, and his name was Zuomo. He was one of the 2 high-level mentors who assisted Shilon. The other high-level mentor was a woman who was about 27 or 28 years old. She had clean short hair, and she looked a little younger. Her name was Roshan. Shilon didn't have any objections to setting up camp here. You guys take care of things here. I'll go check the surroundings to see if there are any threatening demonic beasts. Let me go. Mentor Shilon, Roshan said, you're the commander of this priming meet. If there's anything you need, just tell us. Shilon shook her head slightly. It's okay. I'm just looking around. I'll be back soon. With that, Shilon left. Mentor Shilon is really cautious. A student said, yes, don't think that Mentor Shilon usually doesn't speak much. In fact, she cares about her students the most. She doesn't want anything to happen to any of the students. That's why she's so cautious. Listening to the crowd's discussion, Chu Hin couldn't help but be in deep thought. That day, he was almost injured by Run Wei's 5th chain. Even Song Chenglai, who was closest to him, couldn't save him in time. However, Shilon stopped Ren Wei. This also meant that she was prepared to save him from the very beginning. That was why that willow leaf had flown over so accurately and in time. It seemed that Mentor Shilon was much more respectable than he had imagined. I'll briefly explain the contents of the Heaven Lake Demon Hunt this time. The tall instructors with MO faced the crowd of young students in front of him and said, the main purpose of this year's priming meet is to hunt demon beasts. Go out to hunt during the day and return before evening. Students who perform outstandingly in this mission will be able to obtain between 500 to 5,000 star points. 5,000 star points? The eyes of the students couldn't help but light up. This reward was really motivating. Most of the students present were old students and had accumulated a certain amount of star points. Once 5,000 star points were added, many of their badges would be able to change colors. Chapter 90. The main content of this experiential learning is to hunt and kill demonic beasts. You must go out to hunt during the day and return before evening. Students who perform outstandingly in this mission will be able to obtain 500 to 5,000 star points. When Zuomo said this, the entire crowd couldn't help but burst into an uproar. 5,000 star points was not a small temptation to every student present. Hunting demonic beasts is accompanied by a certain level of danger. I would like to emphasize the following points. Zuomo's tone became solemn. Everyone followed suit and became silent. Firstly, do not go deep into the mountain range. Secondly, if you meet a demonic beast stronger than you, do not care about the consequences and just turn and run. While running, do your best to call for your nearby companions. Of course, this action may also attract other demonic beasts, so I and a few other teachers will patrol the vicinity. If you are lucky, we will be able to save you in time. If your luck isn't good, then pray for more luck. When they heard this, many of them felt a chill down their spines. Looks like the slightest carelessness during this experiential learning could cost their lives. But seeing that many of them revealed fearful expressions, another high-ranking teacher Roshan smiled and said, everyone don't need to be too afraid. As long as you don't go deep into the mountain range, it is still relatively safe. Everyone can also form a team to hunt demonic beasts. Form a team? Everyone's eyes lit up. If it's a team, I personally suggest that there shouldn't be more than 3 to 4 people. Zuomo said solemnly. Why? Teacher Zuomo, isn't it good to have companions to take care of us? It can also guarantee our safety. A student asked, because you are here for experiential learning and not to play. Zuomo's voice suddenly became stern. The students in front were shocked and instantly became silent. Zuomo continued. What is experiential learning? It is to make yourself stronger through battles and not require the protection of companions. I won't say much about the rest. You guys can figure out yourselves. The last point is that other than our Tensei Prefecture students, there will also be teams from other high-ranked martial schools here for experiential learning. If you meet them, try your best not to get into conflict with them. Yes, teacher Suemo. After explaining the matters to take note of, everyone began to set up camp. Teacher Shilon only returned when it was almost evening. The students began to rest early in the midst of slight nervousness and slight anticipation, preparing themselves for tomorrow's monster hunt. The next day, when the first ray of golden light shone down from the sky, the bugles sounded. In the midst of the youthful vigor, the numerous young students of the Heavenly Star Martial House were like warlike warriors, rushing into the vast forests of the Sky Lake Mountain Range. Chu-hen, let's team up, Mu Feng suggested. Chu-hen wanted to refuse, but considering that Haozi's strength was only at the 9th stage of the channel opening realm, he temporarily agreed. As soon as everyone entered the forest of the Tianqi Mountain Range, they encountered many strange and ferocious demonic beasts. Even though this was only the outer region, one could already see many first and second level great demons. They were comparable to first or second level natal connecting realm martial cultivators. To those students who were only at the 9th level of the meridian opening realm, they still posed a certain threat. Charge! The morale of the people from Tensei Prefecture was relatively high. They took out their weapons and started fighting the demonic beasts. After successfully killing the demonic beast, he extracted its crystal core. In the depths of the forest, there were quite a number of black figures hiding in the dark, staring coldly at the movement in front of them. Some of these people were hunting squads that hunted demonic beasts in exchange for money, while others were bandits that lived on the edge of knife. So, with a bunch of brats. Forget it. Leave this place to them. In the imperial capital, the power of a high-level martial house was enough to make people from all walks of life rather fearful. Even if they were bandits who had fled to the ends of the earth, they would not be stupid enough to lay their hands on these little lambs at this time. Anyone could have guessed that the strength of the teacher leading the team must not be underestimated in order to bring so many people at once. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. After 3 days of fighting in the forest, the temperament of many of the young men and women had changed. Some of the young men and women who looked weak before, after experiencing real blood and life and death battles, had grown both mentally and physically. What made teacher Shilon relieved was that there were no deaths of students in these 3 days. However, the number of injured students was exceptionally high. Just on the first day alone, there were nearly 100 students with various injuries. On the 3rd day, the number of injured students was close to half. After all, most of them were inexperienced fledglings, so it was inevitable for them to be injured. Even so, most of the students gradually began to enjoy the hardy process of fighting with demonic beasts. Especially after successfully killing a demonic beast, the sense of accomplishment was self-evident. Bang! At this moment, Chu-hen was fighting with a demonic beast that looked like a leopard but was more than 3 meters long. What was more shocking was that this demonic beast actually had 3 eyes. In the center of its forehead, there was a horizontal eye. 3-eyed thunder leopard, a class 4 demonic beast. Other than being extremely fast, this demonic beast could also spit out the power of thunder and lightning from its 3rd horizontal eye. It was a rather dangerous demonic beast. However, Chu-hen was not afraid. For Chu-hen, who had just broken through to the 4th level of the elemental opening realm with the help of the profound essence pill, this 3-eyed thunder leopard was the best training target. Since this morning, Chu-hen had been acting alone. After all, with his strength, a class 1 or 2 demonic beast was not a challenge at all. Mu Feng, Haozi, and the others did not request for Chu-hen to accompany them. Boom! Chu-hen held the Demon Punisher spear in his hand, and the sharp tip of the spear continuously clashed with the 3-eyed thunder leopard's sharp claws. Sparks flew everywhere, and power flew everywhere. One tree after another was destroyed. Although the 3-eyed thunder leopard's attacks were swift and fierce, Chu-hen was calm and composed. His spear was different from its usual domineering style, and became flexible and flexible. This was the attack pattern of the Demon Punisher spear. Over the past few days, Chu Hen had already started to study the spear technique left behind by Fong Bufan, the demonic spear. Fong Bufan's spear technique was famous for its flexibility and its ability to catch opponents off guard. It was particular about attacking the opponent's weakest point, which made Chu Hen exclaim in surprise. This, with a flash of the spear's radiance, a bloody wound appeared on the three-eyed thunder leopard's back. Roar! An angry roar came from its mouth. The despicable human in front of it seemed to have used it as a training target from the very beginning. This made it completely furious. Although the three-eyed thunder leopard was not very intelligent, it could still sense the dangerous aura. This despicable human gave it a very dangerous feeling. If this went on, it would definitely die in his hands. The enraged, three-eyed thunder leopard gathered an extremely violent demonic energy. In an instant, the horizontal eye in the middle of its forehead emitted a dazzling silver light. With a chi-chi sound, restless lightning flashed in the middle of its forehead like a ball of lightning. Has it gone mad? Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. Chapter 91. Chi-chi. Violent energy undulations were released from the three-eyed thunder leopard's body. The eye in the middle of its forehead blossomed with a dazzling light. Resplendent silver lightning continuously gathered together, and it looked like a lightning ball that was about to explode. Has it gone mad? The corner of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and a domineering and fierce aura suddenly leaked out from his body. The dark power of True Yuan rapidly climbed up the punishing demon spear like vines. Chu Hen's body was covered with a layer of demonic black light. A cold and solemn wind wantonly stirred up, and an invisible killing intent quietly filled the air. The three-eyed thunder leopard sensed the dangerous aura coming from Chu Hen's body, and a human-like fear surged in its eyes. However, it did not have any intention of retreating. Roar! The three-eyed thunder leopard roared towards the sky, and the lightning in the middle of its forehead blossomed to the extreme, and it was as dazzling as the sun. However, just at that time, Chu Hen's body moved, and he suddenly shot out explosively. The black-colored light that twined around his body quickly gathered towards the demon Punisher spear. Circles of black-colored light were like streams that converged into a river from all directions. The lines and patterns on the demon Punisher spear strangely extended, and like vines, they climbed up Chu Hen's arm. In that instant, Chu Hen felt as if he was connected to the demon Punisher spear, and the rapid wind-breaking momentum caused a shocking rumbling sound of thunder. Rumble. It was unknown where this sound came from, but it had a penetrating power that went straight into the depths of one's soul. The three-eyed thunder leopard's body involuntarily trembled, and an indescribable fear rose from the bottom of its heart. In the next instant, the lightning in the middle of its forehead struck towards Chu Hen, and the destructive aura caused the air to tremble. The lightning was as sharp and dazzling as an electric blade. However, Chu Hen was not afraid in the slightest, and the demon Punisher spear, which was surrounded by a black cyclone, fell down with an unstoppable force, and with a bang, it solidly hit the lightning pillar. Sparks flew everywhere, and the aftermath of the berserk energy swept in all directions. Trees were cut down, rocks were overturned, and a thick layer of soil was scraped flat in the face of such a violent impact. Chu Hen did not take even half a step back. The sharp and overbearing cold spear tore through the air, leaving behind a series of afterimages in the air, after which it forcefully pierced the three-eyed thunder leopard's head. Roar! Scarlet blood spurted out, and the three-eyed thunder leopard let out a low, sorrowful whimper before it finally fell powerlessly to the ground. Oh! Chu Hen breathed out a sigh of relief. This was the third-class four-great demon that he had killed today. In actual combat, Chu Hen's spear technique was also getting more and more skillful. I wonder how Housie and the others are doing. Chu Hen muttered softly. Soon after, he cut open the thunder leopard's body and extracted the crystal core from within. Then, he headed back in the direction he came from, near the outskirts of the Tian Chi mountain range. Senior brother Chu Hen, you're back. A young man and a young woman appeared from behind a large tree and walked towards Chu Hen with pleasant surprise on their faces. These two were none other than Li Hui and Zhou Lu. Why is it just you two? Where are Haozi and Mu Feng? Chu Hen asked. Since this was the first time Li Hui and Zhou Lu had come to the Sky Lake Mountain Range, the two did not dare to act on their own. However, the older students felt that their strength was too low and were unwilling to bring them along. Thus, they could only form a four-man team with Mu Feng and Haozi. Senior brother Chu Hen, I was just about to tell you about this. Li Hui's expression seemed to be a little anxious. Mu Feng and Haozi went with a few people from Imperial Martial Academy to obtain the Blood Yuan fruit. Imperial Martial Academy? Blood Yuan fruit? Chu Hen was shocked. The Tensei Prefecture was not the only place to train in the Sky Lake Mountain Range. Students from other high-ranked martial houses were also scattered in different places. Imperial Martial Academy was the head of the 5 great martial houses. Why would they look for Haozi and Mu Feng? As for the so-called Blood Yuan fruit, Chu Hen had heard of it before. It was a kind of heavenly treasure that grew in places of extreme need. It grew by absorbing the essence and blood of demonic beasts as nutrients. The Blood Yuan fruit contained a very pure and enormous energy. It could strengthen meridians, forge muscles and bones, and nourish energy. It was effective even for Wu Xiao, who was at the core transformation stage. And for Wu Xiao, who was at the elemental opening stage, it was a rare treasure. But Chu Hen was still puzzled. Why would the people from Imperial Martial Academy tell such an important thing to others? What's going on? Chu Hen asked. There are demon beasts guarding the Blood Yuan fruit. Li Hui explained. Then, the people from Imperial Martial Academy happened to see senior brother Haozi being able to control the gold nibbling mouse. So, they suggested to us to work together to pick the Blood Yuan fruit. At that time, they would attract the attention of the demon beasts guarding there, and let senior brother Haozi control the gold nibbling mouse to steal the Blood Yuan fruit. So that's how it is. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed. But I know the leader of the people from Imperial Martial Academy. Zhou Lu said, that guy is called Qi Yuan, and he is not a good person. I have already hinted to the two of them to ignore Qi Yuan, but Mu Feng still dragged Haozi over. When these words came out, Chu Hen's face slightly darkened. It seemed that working together with the people from Imperial Martial Academy was like asking a tiger for its skin. This is such a serious matter. Why didn't you tell instructors Mo and the others? We also wanted to. Li Hui had a look of regret. It was senior brother Mu Feng who didn't let us tell instructor Xilan. Qi Yuan said that the Blood Yuan fruit is limited, and the fewer people who know about it, the better. So senior brother Mu Feng told us to wait here for them to return. This guy, Chu Hen frowned. Usually, he thought that Mu Feng was pretending to be crazy, but he didn't expect him to be so stupid sometimes. With their strength, if the people from Imperial Martial Academy were to fall out with them, they wouldn't even know how they died. Which direction did they go? Chu Hen asked. That way. Li Hui pointed in a direction. You two go back and tell this to instructors Mo and the others. I will chase after them. Senior brother Chu Hen, that Qi Yuan's strength is at the 7th level of the element opening realm. Be careful. Got it. With that, Chu Hen's figure moved, and he hurriedly headed in a direction, disappearing into the deep forest in a few blinks of an eye. Li Hui and Zhou Lu didn't hesitate, and they headed towards the headquarters as fast as they could. Dense fog lingered, and demonic beasts roared. In a shady valley where the sun didn't shine, a fierce battle was taking place. Nearly 100 demonic beasts were fiercely attacking 5 young men and women. Jia, Ji. These demonic beasts were all monsters with long arms and legs and black fur. They looked like monkeys, but there was a sharp horn on their foreheads. The one-horned ghost monkey was a 2nd-level demonic beast. It was extremely agile, and fast, but its weakness was that it didn't have an advantage in terms of strength. Hiss! Blood splattered, and the one-horned ghost monkeys were killed. Although the young men and women were surrounded, they didn't panic at all. Each of them fought in an orderly manner, as if they were stalling for time. Umph! Evil creatures, don't you dare jump around in front of me, hiss. The sharp sword Chi tore through the air, and like a phantom, it cut several one-horned ghost monkeys in half. The one who displayed such a powerful sword move was a handsome man with an extraordinary demeanor. His sword moves revealed a free and easy feeling, and every time he swung his sword, a one-horned ghost monkey's blood would splatter 5 steps away. Senior Brother Chi Yuan, your sword skills have improved a lot again. Another woman holding a light sword shouted in surprise. Don't be distracted. Focus on the enemy. The man named Chi Yuan said indifferently. Got it, Senior Brother Chi Yuan. Among the 5 people, 4 were from the Imperial Martial Academy, and the other was Mu Feng. I dodge. I stab your eyes. Mu Feng's fighting style was also unique enough. Basically, he would dodge here and there, or he would specifically attack the weak points of the one-horned ghost monkeys. It was as if they were playing a joke. Although the people from the Imperial Martial Academy were skilled, the number of one-horned ghost monkeys had a great advantage. As the saying goes, ants can bite an elephant to death, and a pack of wolves can tear a tiger to shreds. The few of them didn't dare to go deep into the crowd of beasts, and they just blocked the entrance of the valley, fighting and retreating. However, in the depths of the valley, there was a large tree with lush foliage. This tree was particularly strange. Its leaves were as green as jade, glowing with a white light. Between the branches and leaves, there were red fruits the size of longan fruits. The red fruits were tender and beautiful, exuding a tempting fragrance. A cute little mouse sneaked up the treetop, quietly tore off 2 blood yuan fruits, and then hurriedly burrowed into the flowers and grass. Halfway up the mountain, behind a relatively hidden rock, Haozi's expression slightly focused. His attention swept back and forth between the battle in front of him and the blood yuan fruit tree in the valley. And in front of Haozi, there were 30 to 40 tender red fruits on a piece of white cloth, each of which was lingering with a subtle red light, looking very strange. Gij, along with a low sound, the little golden gnawing mouse, holding 2 blood yuan fruits in its hands, poked its furry little head out of the grass. Little Gold, you're really something. Haozi's eyes lit up, and he said with a happy expression. Gee, the little golden gnawing mouse, as if it understood Haozi's words, casually put the 2 blood yuan fruits in front of him. These are almost enough. Looking at the nearly 40 blood yuan fruits in front of him, a knowing smile appeared on Haozi's face. He wasn't a greedy person, and these were enough. However, the intelligence of those one-horned ghost monkeys was low enough, which was why they were able to succeed so easily. Immediately, Haozi wrapped the blood yuan fruits in front of him with white cloth, then stood up and shouted to the people fighting with the one-horned ghost monkeys in the valley, Mu Feng, it's almost enough, retreat. Chapter 92. Mu Feng, it's about time. Let's retreat. Haozi controlled the golden gnawing mouse to help him pick the blood yuan fruit with a white cloth, then shouted towards the valley below. Retreat. Mu Feng, Chi Yuan, and the other geniuses of Imperial Martial Academy were all enlightened. They repelled the oncoming wave of one-horned ghost monkeys and then retreated to Haozi's position. Jia. At the same time, the one-horned ghost monkeys had already discovered that there were not many blood yuan fruits left in the valley. They were so angry that they bared their teeth and jumped around. Jia. The angry one-horned ghost monkeys chased after them. However, Mu Feng and the others had already retreated to Haozi's side. He, mouse, where are the blood yuan fruits? Mu Feng smiled excitedly. They're all here. Haozi raised the cloth bag in his hand. You're really something, haha. Mu Feng was pleasantly surprised and reached out to take the cloth bag. Give it to me. Haozi didn't think much and handed over the cloth bag. But at this moment, Chi Yuan's eyes suddenly turned cold. He stretched out his right hand at lightning speed and directly snatched the blood yuan fruit from Haozi's hand. You? Mu Feng's face changed dramatically, and he shouted angrily, Damn, Imperial Martial Academy, what do you mean? Nothing. I just want to thank you two for helping us pick so many blood yuan fruits. Chi Yuan's face revealed a smug and evil smile, and the other 3 young men and women of Imperial Martial Academy also revealed malicious eyes. You want to go back on your word? We clearly agreed before that when we get the blood yuan fruits, each side will get half. Haozi was also a little anxious. Without waiting for Qi Yuan to answer, Mu Feng rolled his eyes and immediately changed into a grin. Hee, blood yuan fruits. We'll give it to you. We don't want it anymore. We'll leave first. After saying that, Mu Feng grabbed Haozi's arm, intending to wait for him to leave. However, before the two of them could even take a step forward, a cold glint flashed across Qi Yuan's eyes. Without saying anything further, he grabbed onto Mu Feng and Haozi's shoulders. Following that, he exerted strength in his arms and forcefully flung the two of them away. Bang! Ouch! F***CK. Mu Feng and Haozi were thrown to the ground, and their faces were bruised and swollen. Even worse, the two of them had actually fallen back into the gorge. Those horned ghost monkeys were like a pack of starving mad dogs, and they bared their fangs while revealing savage and ferocious expressions as they charged over. F***CK your family's immortals. Mu Feng was so angry that he opened his mouth and scolded, "You bastards, it's fine if you don't keep your promise, but you want to kill us to silence us. Did your parents ever teach you to keep your word? What happened to the trust between people?" Humph. Qi Yuan sneered. Naturally, the fewer people who know about the blood yuan fruit, the better. You said you don't want it, but you don't think so in your heart. You're in such a hurry to leave because you want to go back and ask for help. You can't hide your little trick from me. F***CK your little aunt's big watermelon. Don't forget, when I came here, I already had 2 companions who knew why I came with you. Mu Feng scolded as he dealt with the horned ghost monkeys that rushed up to him. Haha, so what? Qi Yuan didn't care at all. His face was full of playful sneer. The two of them don't know that we have already obtained the blood yuan fruit. When someone from your side asks, I can say that the operation has failed. We didn't get the blood yuan fruit. And what's even more sad is that we lost both of your lives. F***CK bitch. Mu Feng was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. At this time, the two of them had already fallen into the encirclement of the horned ghost monkeys. In this situation, they couldn't even run away. Qi Yuan and the others looked down at the 2 people surrounded by the horned ghost monkeys, and a contemptuous smile appeared on their faces. Hey, just 2 trash from Tensei Prefecture. If they die, then they die. Who cares? The one who spoke was a young man in green clothes. Bang! Under the siege of the horned ghost monkeys, Haozi and Mu Feng were soon in a sorry state and lost the ability to resist. Especially Haozi, whose strength was only at channel opening stage 9, was covered with cuts and bruises. The sharp claws of the horned ghost monkeys that were like scimitars left bloody wounds on Haozi's body. His skin was torn and his flesh was exposed. It was a ghastly sight. Mouse, don't die. With a wave of Mu Feng's fingertips, a white, invisible sword chi flew out and cut off the head of a ghost monkey. At the same time, a ghost monkey behind him left a deep claw mark on the back of Mu Feng, who was caught off guard. The intense pain caused Mu Feng's entire body to tremble uncontrollably. 5 bloody wounds that were so deep that the bones could be seen suddenly appeared on his back. In an instant, an endless anger rose, and Mu Feng's eyes turned scarlet in an instant. You bastards, this is what you did to me. If I don't kill you bastards today, my name is not Mu Feng. Bang! As soon as his voice fell, a strange, evil spirit erupted from Mu Feng's body. He raised his hand and raised his palm, and the power of red true essence surged forward like a river. The incomparably overbearing power was shocking and angry. With a series of heavy explosions, 5 or 6 horned ghost monkeys were sent flying in an instant. Each of them screamed, their bones were broken, and their internal organs were beaten out. Halfway up the mountain, Qi Yuan and the others all revealed astonished expressions. Why did this guy's aura suddenly rise so much? A young woman asked in confusion. Who cares? No matter how evil he is, he will die without a doubt. The man in green sneered. They seemed to want to see Mu Feng and Haozi die here with their own eyes before they left. At this moment, Haozi, who was covered in blood, finally couldn't hold on any longer and fell powerlessly to the ground. Mouse, don't die. Even though Mu Feng's aura was several times stronger than before, he didn't have the time to take care of Housie when facing the ferocious beast horde that came wave after wave. Following that, the two one-horned ghost monkeys pounced on the rats on the ground like hungry ghosts. However, right at this critical moment, a swift and fierce spear light flashed through the sky along with a flowing light shuttle that could be traced back to 1,000 years of time, and it penetrated the heads of the two horned ghost monkeys in succession. Hiss! Warm blood splattered, and the two horned ghost monkeys that pounced towards Housie didn't even have the chance to scream before they lost their lives. In the next moment, a young and handsome man flashed over and landed beside Housie. The spear that was covered in black light shook, and the sharp tip of the spear tore through the air and slashed through the necks of 6 or 7 horned ghost monkeys in a row. Ah! Miserable screams resounded, and the row of horned ghost monkeys in front of him were immediately flipped to the ground. Holy shit, Chu Hen, you're finally here. I suddenly feel that you're so handsome. Mu Feng was both surprised and delighted. His eyes lit up as if he had seen his savior. Take Housie and leave first. Chu Hen's cold eyes focused, and his gaze that was as cold as a blade swept towards Qi Yuan and the others who were halfway up the mountain. Qi Yuan and the others were similarly surprised by Chu Hen's sudden appearance. Humph! Another meddlesome person came out. The corner of Qi Yuan's mouth curled into a cold smile. Roar! Just as Qi Yuan was about to do something, an angry beast's roar came from the back of the valley. Everyone was shocked. They raised their eyes to look, only to see that it was a large horned ghost monkey that was 4 to 5 meters tall. The red hair all over its body stood up, sharp like needles. Its sturdy body seemed to be filled with explosive destructive power. Its ferocious and sinister face caused people to tremble in fear. It's the horned ghost monkey king, the young man in green blurted out. Qi Yuan frowned and said coldly, this horned ghost monkey king was originally a 5th-level great demon. During the period when it occupied this place, it probably ate a lot of blood yuan fruits here. I'm afraid it has evolved to at least the level of a 7th-level great demon. Qi Yuan's cultivation was at the 7th level of the natal opening realm, and he could feel a dangerous aura from the horned ghost monkey king. This also meant that the other party was at least a 7th-level great demon. Why didn't this beast come out before? The man in green continued to ask. The power in its body is a little restless and chaotic. If I'm not wrong, it has been hiding in the dark to break through. Compared to the others, Qi Yuan's knowledge and eyesight were obviously much higher. Roar! But it was also at this moment that the horned ghost monkey king set off a violent aura and rushed over. A series of red shadows flashed in the air, and the horned ghost monkey king leaped, directly flying more than 20 meters above the ground. And its target was the Imperial Martial Academy's Qi Yuan and the others. That damned animal? The expressions on their faces changed drastically. The horned ghost monkey king was not an ordinary ghost monkey. The former already had a certain level of intelligence. The horned ghost monkey king was very clear that the stolen blood yuan fruit was with Qi Yuan, so it naturally chased after him first. Disperse. Seeing the horned ghost monkey king arrive in front of them in the blink of an eye, Qi Yuan and the others hurriedly retreated. Boom! In the next moment, the horned ghost monkey king's huge iron palm, which was like a cattail leaf fan, fiercely slapped the place where they had just been. The violent power surged down, and a deep pit with a width of more than 10 meters suddenly appeared on the ground. Don't fight with this beast, go. It was not a rational thing to fight with the enraged horned ghost monkey king. Immediately, Qi Yuan glanced coldly at Chu Hen in the valley. Their eyes met, and invisible sparks burst out in the air. Oomph. Qi Yuan sneered and then fled with the other 3. How could the horned ghost monkey king let these guys who stole its blood yuan fruit go so easily? It also chased after them. The big trouble, the horned ghost monkey king, did not come, but the group of horned ghost monkeys were still besieging Chu Hen and the others. Take Housie and leave first. Hurry up, Chu Hen shouted. Chapter 93. Be careful. After the one-horned ghost monkey king chased after the people from the Imperial Martial Academy, Mufong carried Haozi, who was covered in blood, under Chu Hen's cover, and left in a hurry. Gigi. The one-horned ghost monkeys advanced wave after wave, constantly launching ferocious attacks at Chu Hen. Chu Hen held the long spear in his hand, and the sharp spear light bloomed in the air. Blood splattered, killing intent filled the air, and the cold light was dazzling. One after another, the one-horned ghost monkeys died under Chu Hen's spear. Hiss! The cold spear that was surging with black light pierced through the body of a ghost monkey like it was tofu. In the next moment, a ghost monkey rushed up from the left and right, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws at Chu Hen's head. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold. At the same time, he released the demon Punisher spear in his palm, and both of his hands turned into palms, striking at the ghost monkey. Bang, bang, two dull vibrations overlapped with each other, and the two one-horned ghost monkeys let out mournful screams. Their bodies were beaten into a bent state, and their internal organs flew out. Chu Hen pulled the demon Punisher spear out of the chest of the ghost monkey in front of him, and glanced in the direction that Mu Feng and Haozi left from the corner of his eyes. Seeing that the two of them had left successfully, Chu Hen chose to retreat without hesitation. There were too many one-horned ghost monkeys, and if he continued to fight with them, he would only be at a disadvantage. Surviving in the Boneless Mountain Range for nearly a month had given Chu Hen a lot of experience in escaping. In just a short while, Chu Hen shook off the pursuit of the one-horned ghost monkeys and successfully escaped from the predicament. Chu Hen flipped over a lush tree, slightly calming the somewhat chaotic aura. Thinking about it, it was really thrilling just now. Fortunately, he arrived in time, or else he would have to collect Haozi's corpse. However, looking at Haozi's condition, his injuries were definitely not light. It was still unknown how his condition was. Those bastards. Chu Hen narrowed his eyes slightly, and a trace of coldness surged in his eyes. Listening to what Li Hui and Zhou Lu had said, Chu Hen thought that those people from the Imperial Martial Academy were nothing more than using Haozi, and after using him, at most they would turn hostile and refuse to share the blood origin fruits with them. Who would have thought that it was one thing to turn their backs on him, but to actually burn the bridge after crossing it? As expected of someone from the Imperial Martial Academy, his way of doing things is so ruthless. Chu Hen thought to himself, if it was someone from the same generation as him from another high-ranked martial house, they probably wouldn't have done such a thing. Just at this time, the faint sounds of battle were caught by Chu Hen. Chu Hen's heart was slightly startled, and his gaze swept towards the deep and gloomy forest. Who could it be over there? After a brief hesitation, Chu Hen's figure moved, and he leaped up, smoothly landing on the trunk of another large tree. Subsequently, Chu Hen cautiously headed in the direction of the sound. The closer he got, the more intense the energy fluctuations became. Not long after, the scene of a great battle appeared in front of Chu Hen. Chu Hen hid behind a large tree and quietly observed. The first thing that came into view was a giant python that was tens of meters long. What was even more frightening was that this giant python had two heads, and there were 3 pairs of transparent thin wings on its back. The bright and clean scales were closely arranged, and the dark net pattern was beautiful and emitted a dangerous aura. Double-headed, 6-winged python. Chu Hen was shocked, and a trace of seriousness emerged between his brows. This was a great demon of the 8th level, comparable to Wu Xiao, who was at the 8th level of the element opening realm. Even compared to the one-horned ghost monkey king, it was much stronger. Boom! Strong winds wreaked havoc, and violent gales rose in all directions. The attack of the double-headed, 6-winged python was exceptionally ferocious. Its tail, which was filled with solid muscles, swept across like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Thick and strong towering trees were cut in half, and with chips and dust flew wantonly. The body of the double-headed, 6-winged python was like steel, and everywhere it went, everything was destroyed. Chu Hen, who was hiding in the shadows, was secretly shocked. The strength of a great demon of the 8th level was truly terrifying. If an ordinary person were to be whipped by it, they would definitely be smashed into minced meat. When Chu Hen saw the person fighting against the double-headed six-winged python, he was slightly startled. That person was actually a young girl. She wore a long white dress that accentuated her exquisite and tall figure. Her soft and beautiful long hair reached her waist, her eyebrows were slender, and her beautiful eyes were like stars. Her small cherry lips were lightly pursed, and she was especially moving. In her slender and fair hand was a light treasured sword. A dazzling silver light flickered on the body of the sword, and it was nimble yet imposing. It's her? When Chu Hen saw the appearance of the girl clearly, he was suddenly stunned. A faint ripple of water appeared in his calm mind, and a certain heartstring in the depths of his heart seemed to be gently plucked. In Chu Hen's mind, a coincidental scene that happened nearly 2 months ago suddenly appeared. At that time, Chu Hen was choosing weapons in Qinyan Pavilion. Afterward, he unintentionally took a fancy to a bracelet with a blue gemstone on the counter. Just as Chu Hen was about to take that bracelet, another girl also took a fancy to it. The fingertips of the two of them unexpectedly touched each other. In reality, it was just an unintentional, small misunderstanding. But for some unknown reason, at that time, Chu Hen had an indescribable feeling that traveled from his fingertips to the bottom of his heart. A faint warmth and a hint of freshness. It was like a bud of some kind of emotion had been faintly touched. Of course, there was also the fact that Chu Hen was stunned by the other party's appearance. This was also the reason why Chu Hen immediately remembered that the girl in front of him was the girl he met in the Qinyan Pavilion. I think she's called Meng Chong or something, Chu Hen murmured softly. Boom, boom. The fight between the girl and the two-headed six-winged python became more and more intense. The collision of quintessential essence and demonic power set off waves of chaotic air currents. The two-headed six-winged python straightened its body, and its vertical pupil shone with an ominous glint. Its scarlet forked tongue continuously flicked in and out. Soon after, the two-headed six-winged python opened its poisonous mouth and spat out 2 beams of light, one red and one white. Scorching and chilly air currents spread out. The red beam of light turned into a fireball, while the white beam of light turned into a sharp icicle. Seeing the two-headed six-winged python launch an attack of 2 different attributes, ice and fire, Chu Hen, who was standing on the sidelines, frowned slightly. He could not help but feel a little worried for the girl. However, the girl's beautiful eyes focused slightly, and her graceful figure flashed like a spirit butterfly. As she dodged the fireball, she raised her wrist lightly, and the sword in her hand slashed at the icicle. Ding! The icicle shattered and exploded, turning into hundreds and thousands of sparkling ice shards. Chapter 94. Ding! As the beautiful young lady dodged the fireball that was flying toward her, she flicked her wrist lightly, and the sword in her hand struck the ice spike that was flying toward her. The ice spike shattered and exploded, transforming into thousands of sparkling and translucent ice shards. Hiss, hiss! The twin-headed six-winged python flicked its scarlet forked tongue, and its vertical pupils were filled with a malevolent and ominous glint. It opened its large mouth once again and ceaselessly spat out fireballs and ice shards. The surrounding temperature instantly fluctuated between high and low, cold and hot. A scorching wave of air mixed with a bone-piercing chill swept out in all directions, and an unending stream of fireballs and ice shards carried an incomparably dangerous aura as they flew towards the beautiful young lady. The beautiful young lady frowned slightly, and a hint of solemnity appeared in her bright eyes. Her movements were as nimble as a butterfly, and she calmly dodged these attacks that were flying towards her. Boom! Bang! The power of the fusion of ice and fire bombarded the area in front of her, and a violent shock wave shattered rock after rock, blew up giant trees, and caused soil to splatter everywhere. Wood shards flew in all directions, and dust fluttered in the air. Under the unending stream of attacks from the twin-headed six-winged python, numerous pits that emitted black smoke suddenly appeared on the ground. Chu Hen, who was hiding in the shadows, was secretly shocked. This twin-headed, six-winged python's attack power was truly terrifying, and its destructive power was comparable to a spirit-level demonic beast. However, the twin-headed, six-winged python's weakest point was its lack of defense. If its defense was strong enough, then it would definitely not be at the level of a level 8 great demon. Based on the current situation, the young lady did not seem to be afraid of this twin-headed six-winged python. At the very least, from the beginning until the end, she appeared to be extremely calm and composed. Chu Hen was more or less shocked. The young lady looked to be about the same age as him, yet she was able to face the twin-headed six-winged python head-on without falling into a disadvantageous position. It was truly shocking. Buzz, buzz. Suddenly, a strand of peculiar energy was suddenly caught by Chu Hen, and this energy actually originated from the young lady. A silvery light that was as faint as a veil surged out from the young lady's body, and at the same time, the aura within her body became abnormally chaotic. The young lady's elegant and refined face could not help but change, and a trace of seriousness appeared between her lightly knitted brows. "Why did you come out at this time?" The young girl bit her red lips with her silver teeth. Her slightly anxious appearance had a captivating charm to it. Then, the young girl placed her left palm on her chest and separated a wisp of primordial chi to suppress the restless power in her body. However, in this case, the two-headed six-winged python in front of him had become a huge problem. Hiss hiss. The two-headed six-winged python seemed to have also discovered that something was wrong with the girl, and its vertical pupils flickered with a sinister cold light. Immediately, his attacks became more ferocious. When Chu Hen, who was hiding outside the arena, saw this scene, he could not help but show some confusion on his face. What was going on? "Demon Eye," Chu Hen shouted, and the power of the holy body of Demon Pupil was quietly released in his body. His dark and clear eyes became deep, and a faint demonic purple light surged in the depths of his pupils. Buzz, buzz. Immediately after, Chu Hen's visual space distorted in a strange manner. Along with a slight tremble, the flow of the power in the body of the young girl and the two-headed six-winged python appeared in Chu Hen's mind. Chu Hen's attention was focused on the young girl. He saw that the primordial chi in her body was abnormally chaotic and restless, and this restless chaotic power actually originated from a blurry white shadow. That white shadow seemed to be shrouded in a misty fog, and he could not see through it or investigate it clearly. From its appearance, that white shadow faintly resembled the shape of a crescent moon. What is that thing? Chu Hen tried to investigate deeper, but at this moment, something unexpected happened. A surging silver light surged out from that blurry white shadow. That astonishing, mysterious power had an irresistible might, and in the next instant, Chu Hen's probing power was directly repelled. That is, Chu Hen was shocked. His demon eye's power was actually unable to detect that power? What exactly was that crescent moon-shaped white shadow? Even the demon eye couldn't detect it. Maybe it's because my cultivation is not enough. Chu Hen murmured softly. The demon eye holy body was one of the world's top 10 holy body bloodline limits. Although Chu Hen still did not know why he had such an amazing bloodline limit, Chu Hen had never doubted the power of the demon eye. Perhaps it was because his cultivation was not enough, and it was difficult for him to unleash the powerful power of the demon eye, so he could not detect the secret of that white shadow. Of course, the reason why Chu Hen did this was purely out of curiosity. He just wanted to find out what kind of difficulty the young girl had encountered. Boom! Just as Chu Hen was pondering for a short while, the situation in front of him changed greatly. Because of her own reasons, the young girl had already fallen into a disadvantageous position. She had been in a state of defense, unable to launch any counterattack. But the longer the battle dragged on, the more the power in her body seemed to be out of control. The restless energy was like a pool filled with water, ready to break through the dam and sweep out at any time. There's not much time left. The young girl lightly pursed her red lips, and her bright eyes slightly focused. Strong, true origin power quickly gathered towards the sword in her hand, and a crisp sound reverberated in the air. The sharp edge of the sword was as bright as frost. Whoosh! In the next moment, the young girl's mind moved, and the sword in her palm immediately flew out, dragging a forceful and transparent wave of chi in the air. The sharp sword released a dazzling silver light, and its speed was so fast that it seemed like a flying shuttle that traveled thousands of years. The vertical pupils of the two-headed six-winged python shrank, and it spat out a fireball and an icicle from its mouth. Boom! The power of both sides collided, and fireballs swirled in the air, and ice shards splashed in all directions. The gorgeous sword was like a hot knife through butter, and it fell down gracefully, directly hitting the left head of the two-headed six-winged python. Bang! An intense, muffled sound reverberated in the air, and a circle of scattered, true origin power burst out. The left head of the two-headed six-winged python was forcefully shattered, and blood sprayed out like rain. The bloody scene caused the young girl's beautiful brows to lightly knit together, and this strike wasn't enough to be fatal to the two-headed six-winged python. Its remaining head shook violently, and its mouth emitted painful hisses. A good chance. The eyes of Chu Hen, who was waiting for an opportunity, went cold, and he didn't hesitate to explosively flash out when he saw this. Hiss, hiss. The two-headed, six-winged python that had one of its heads blasted off was incomparably furious, and its other head opened its bloody mouth as it pounced towards the young girl like an arrow that left the bow. The young girl's eyes were suffused with a gentle ripple, and her jade-like hand clenched lightly as a resolute look flashed in her eyes. However, right at this moment, a swift and fierce figure suddenly scuttled out from the forest to the side. The person leaped up, and a demonic black light coiled around his spear. Rumble. The sound of rolling thunder rang out in the air, and the surging flames were like a myriad of beasts running wildly. Hiss! Along with the hurried sound of breaking through the air, the spear that coiled around the black light was like a black bolt of lightning as it pierced into the other head of the two-headed six-winged python. The incomparably overbearing, penetrating force entered the six-winged python's skull, and a string of blood splattered everywhere. The two-headed six-winged python let out a low whimper, and its enormous body was immediately sent flying. At the same time, Chu Hen loosened his palms, and he quickly flew backwards. Bang! The two-headed six-winged python struggled on the ground for a long time, and then slowly stopped moving. Chu Hen let out a deep breath, and then looked at his slightly cracked palms, and he couldn't help but secretly shake his head. Even though the two-headed six-winged python's defense was relatively weak, Chu Hen had still used all his strength to send the demon Punisher spear into its head. The violent shock was almost too much for him to bear. "Are you all right? Are you all right?" Chu Hen turned his head around and subconsciously said these few words. The same words also lightly spat out from the young girl's mouth. The two of them couldn't help but be stunned, and their gazes met like shallow ripples on the calm surface of a lake. "Have we met somewhere before?" The young girl looked at the handsome face in front of her with some surprise, and she seemed to have a sense of déjà vu. Chu Hen smiled and said, "More than a month ago. Did you and a friend of yours go to Qingyin Pavilion?" "Qingyin Pavilion?" The young girl's beautiful eyes moved, and she pondered for a while. Suddenly, she came to a realization and said, "I remember now. You also have your eyes on that bracelet." The two of them looked at each other again and smiled. "Hello, my name is Luo Mengchong. Thank you for your help just now." The young girl stretched out her small hand that was as fair as jade, and her faint smile made people feel very comfortable. Chu Hen nodded and gently shook the other party's hand. However, at this moment, the mysterious power in Luo Mengchong's body became even more restless, like a volcano that was brewing, and it could go out of control at any time. "What's wrong with you, Miss Mengchong?" Chu Hen asked. Luo Mengchong pursed her red lips and thought to herself. Then, she looked at Chu Hen with her beautiful eyes that were as bright as the moon and said softly, "Can you help me with one more thing?" "Yes, tell me. I need some time. And during this time, I can't let anything near me. Can't let anything near her? Shu Hen was slightly surprised, but he still nodded without hesitation. I'll try my best. Seeing the clear and sincere look in Shu Hen's eyes, Luo Mengchang's lips curled up into a charming smile. This young man, whom she had just met, actually gave her an inexplicable sense of security. Then I'll leave it to you. Yes, Shu Hen replied. Immediately, Luo Mengchang flicked her sleeves slightly, and the dust and rocks on the ground were swept away. She then sat on the ground and performed a series of complicated hand gestures with her fair hands. Chapter 95. In the dark and quiet forest, the atmosphere was a little subtle. Shu Hen's back was leaning against a large tree. His clear, pitch-black eyes quietly looked at the absolutely beautiful figure a few meters in front of him. Luo Mengchang. It was an elegant and beautiful name, but the person really lived up to her name. Back then, the hurried meeting in the Qingyan Pavilion was like a glimpse. The traces of warmth that were transmitted from his fingertips made Shu Hen feel an indescribable feeling. After nearly 2 months, Shu Hen did not expect to get to know the other party in such an environment. The corpse of the two-headed, six-winged python lay quietly on the other side. Shu Hen had already taken out its crystal core. The crystal core of a level 8 demon was still quite valuable. In the blink of an eye, nearly half an hour had passed. Luo Mengchang still did not show any signs of waking up. However, the mysterious power in her body had become a lot more peaceful, and he could only feel a faint, obscure fluctuation. Strands of silver light lingered around Luo Mengchang's body. It looked as if the bright moon had poured down its holy brilliance, and the hazy silver brilliance added a touch of beauty to Luo Mengchang's beauty. I wonder which martial house she is from. Shu Hen raised his head slightly. The soft light shone through the lush treetops. It was almost evening. He had to return to the base camp before evening. This was what Mentorswa Mo had told him previously. However, since he had already promised Luo Mengchang to look after her, he could not break his promise. Who's there? Suddenly, a slight rustling sound entered Shu Hen's ears. Shu Hen's brows furrowed. His figure moved, and he quickly flashed to Luo Mengchang's side. Perhaps it was because he had been discovered by Shu Hen, but the other party did not continue to hide. The footsteps were unscrupulous, approaching from afar. Shu Hen narrowed his eyes, and a cold light flashed faintly in the corner of his eyes. Soon, a young figure with an extraordinary bearing appeared in Shu Hen's line of sight. It's you? Shu Hen's pupils contracted slightly, and his handsome face was covered with a layer of frost. When the other party saw Shu Hen, an interested smile appeared on his face. However, this smile was filled with faint playfulness and disdain. Hee, I didn't think we would meet again so soon, said the newcomer with a faint smile. Oomph. Shu Hen sneered. I thought you bastards were buried in the belly of the single-horned ghost monkey king. The person who had arrived was none other than the genius of Imperial Martial Academy, Qi Yuan, who had burned the bridge after crossing the river after using Mu Feng and Haozi. Previously, in the valley, Qi Yuan and the others were chased by the one-horned ghost monkey king to the point that they didn't know where to go. They never thought that they would still be able to meet the other party here. Qi Yuan smiled coldly and turned to look at the beautiful figure behind Shu Hen. When he saw the other party's appearance, he blurted out in surprise. Junior Sister Mengchang? Junior Sister Mengchang? The corner of Shu Hen's eyes narrowed. This Luo Mengchang was actually from Imperial Martial Academy? It was no wonder. Imperial Martial Academy status was ranked first among the many high-ranked martial houses in the Imperial City. It was not strange for a genius like Luo Mengchang to be from Imperial Martial Academy. Then, Qi Yuan walked up to him. Whoosh, however, before he could get close to Luo Mengchang, a sharp cold spear was directly placed in front of him. Stand there, don't move. The indifferent tone gave off a sharp edge that allowed no hesitation. Qi Yuan frowned, then sneered. I think you've misunderstood the situation. Junior Sister Mengchang is from our Imperial Martial Academy. What are you doing here? I don't care where you're from. She only told me that before she wakes up, nothing is allowed to come nearer. Especially bastards. Bastards? Chu Hen said these two words with great force. If not for Luo Mengchong, Chu Hen would have already thrust the demon punisher spear at him. This bastard had almost caused the deaths of Haozi and Mu Feng. Just based on this point, it was difficult for Chu Hen to maintain a pleasant expression. Qi Yuan's face immediately darkened, and a cold aura surged outside his body. Brat, who do you think you are? How dare you point your fingers in front of me with that little bit of ability of yours? Qi Yuan was at the 7th level of the natal opening realm, while Chu Hen was only at the 4th level. In the former's eyes, Chu Hen was nothing. However, facing this person, Chu Hen's eyes did not show the slightest bit of fear. Even if they were to fight, Chu Hen was absolutely confident that he would make the other party pay a painful price. A cold aura quietly spread out, and the air seemed to solidify. Roar! At this moment, the incomparably fierce roar of a demonic beast was heard, along with the slightly trembling ground. A 4 to 5 meter tall, one-horned ghost monkey with red bristles all over its body rushed out with the power to uproot trees and crack rocks. One-horned ghost monkey king. Chu Hen's face suddenly changed, and Qi Yuan, who was next to him, revealed a fierce expression. This damn beast, it really won't let go? Previously in the valley, Qi Yuan and the other 3 who were chased by the one-horned ghost monkey king had scattered and fled. However, because the blood Yuan fruits were with Qi Yuan, the one-horned ghost monkey king was still chasing after them. After a while, they finally got rid of this big guy, but they did not expect that the other party would catch up again. Roar! The one-horned ghost monkey king's eyes revealed a fierce light, and it bared its teeth, looking ferocious like a furious demonic ape. It slowly approached them, and the momentum that came pouring over was like a small mountain. With every step it took, the ground faintly trembled. How about we join forces and kill this beast first? Qi Yuan was not sure that he could defeat this barbaric guy, but he invited Chu Hen. He's looking for you, not me. What does it have to do with me? Chu Hen responded coldly. After we defeat it, I'll give you half of the blood Yuan fruits. Ha ha! Chu Hen laughed, and the expression on his face was like he was laughing at a fool. I say, big brother, not long ago, you used this trick to trick 2 of my friends, and almost sent them to see the King of Hell. Do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Also, you'd better get lost, don't fight here. Previously, Qi Yuan and the others, a total of 4 people, did not dare to fight the one-horned ghost monkey king head-on. Now, with the addition of Chu Hen, they could kill the ghost monkey king. Qi Yuan did this because he wanted to use Chu Hen as cannon fodder. Oomph, you dare to say that again? Qi Yuan was a little angry out of humiliation. I told you to get lost. As soon as his voice fell, a white light flashed, and a thumb-sized jade slip suddenly appeared in Chu Hen's hand. The jade slip was engraved with complex and mysterious runes, and an obscure and extreme power surged. Spirit Fall Talisman. Qi Yuan's pupils constricted, and his hands involuntarily clenched into fists. Chapter 96. Using this Spirit Death Talisman to kill you is as easy as flipping my hand. I'll say it again, get out of here immediately. But seeing the Spirit Death Talisman in Chu Hen's hand, Qi Yuan's pupils constricted and his expression changed. Even in the imperial city's high-ranked martial houses, it was rare to see a student who could obtain a Spirit Death Talisman. Who was this person? Who knew that this Spirit Death Talisman was Chu Hen's spoils of war? Previously in Tifeng Province, Renwei and a large group of people rushed to Tensei Prefecture to find trouble with Chu Hen. In the end, under the pressure of Tensei Prefecture's principal Jiang, Renwei compensated Chu Hen with a Spirit Death Talisman. The power of a Spirit Death Talisman was enough to severely injure or even kill Wu Xiao, who was at the 9th level of the element opening realm. And Qi Yuan, whose strength was only at the 7th level, was even less of a problem. Roar, however, the one-horned ghost monkey king approached step by step, its murderous aura piercing. Qi Yuan seemed to be caught in a dilemma. In front of him was the one-horned ghost monkey king, and behind him was Chu Hen. For now, both of them could pose a considerable threat to him. Leave? Chi Yuan briefly began to think. Once he left, the one-horned ghost Monkey King would definitely chase after him. What if Chu Hen followed behind and acted as the Oriole? After all, the temptation of the Blood Yuan fruit could not be underestimated. I can't leave. In the split second that the one-horned ghost Monkey King rushed over, Chi Yuan suddenly had a plan. An icy chill flashed in his eyes, and he immediately stretched out his hand into a claw, grabbing at Chu Hen's face. Chu Hen's expression changed slightly, and the demon Punisher's spear blocked in front of him. Chi Yuan gave a cold, strange laugh. His hands were like brushing willows, forming a series of shadows in the air. Shadow-like ghost hand. Swoosh. Chu Hen's left hand suddenly felt empty. The spirit death talisman had been snatched away by the other party. You. Chu Hen's face changed dramatically, and his eyes were burning with anger. Idiot. Chi Yuan had a smug smile on his face. You're still too inexperienced to fight me. Roar. Right at the same time, the horned ghost Monkey King suddenly sped up, and it swept up an incomparably shocking, ferocious aura as it charged forward, and its furious aura pressed down like a mountain. I'll kill you first, you annoying beast, and then deal with that stupid brat. After Chi Yuan snatched the falling spirit symbol from Chu Hen, he no longer feared the single-horned ghost Monkey King. Chi Yuan faced the vicious ghost Monkey King head-on. His palm moved, and a wisp of true essence rapidly poured into the falling spirit symbol. Buzz! In an instant, an extremely violent energy fluctuation suddenly rose up. The surrounding airflow shook endlessly. The single-horned ghost Monkey King was extremely shocked, and dense terror gushed out from its bell-like red eyes. With its intellect, it was unable to identify what the so-called fallen spirit symbol was. However, that extremely dangerous aura was extremely clear. Hey, you evil beast, you also know fear. Chi Yuan had a smirk on his face, and his right palm that held the falling spirit symbol struck towards the single-horned ghost Monkey King in front of him. Buzz! A dazzling golden light that was as bright as the sun bloomed, and with a violent boom, a powerful explosive force instantly exploded between Chi Yuan and the single-horned ghost Monkey King. The heavy vibration was like a clap of thunder, and a strong astral wind blew in all directions. Chu Hen quickly stood in front of Luo Mengchong and mobilized the true essence in his body to withstand this surging power. The extremely destructive power of the shock wave was like a torrent that broke through a dam, wantonly rushing forward. The rubble and leaves on the ground were swept up, and a huge pit appeared. Crisscrossing cracks rapidly spread. Boom! In the next second, a mournful scream startled the flock of birds and beasts in the distant forest. Then, along with the scattered shockwave, the single-horned ghost Monkey King and Chi Yuan were both sent flying. Moreover, what was even more unexpected was that the scream did not originate from the single-horned ghost Monkey King, but from Chi Yuan's mouth. Bang! The single-horned ghost Monkey King's huge body smashed through a large tree with thick roots before stopping. On its chest, there was a bloody hole the size of a wash basin. The broken bones were clearly visible, and many of its internal organs had been smashed. The single-horned ghost Monkey King's head swayed slightly, and a low, sorrowful cry came from its throat, and then it stopped moving. As for Chi Yuan, he dragged a long mark on the ground, and only stopped after flying more than 10 meters. Looking at his current appearance, he was covered in blood and cut a sorry figure. Even his entire right arm had been smashed off, and dazzling blood constantly gushed out. You despicable thing. Chi Yuan's eyes were blood red as he stared at Chu Hen in front of him, full of resentment. However, at this moment, Chu Hen's emotions were very calm, but his eyes were as cold as a knife, and his handsome face was covered with a faint layer of frost. There really was a problem. That Renwei had really done something to the fallen spirit talisman. As everyone knew, under normal circumstances, the user of the fallen spirit talisman would absolutely not be harmed. Once the fallen spirit talisman was released, its power would hit a single point, and the user could control it at will. However, the scene in front of him directly confirmed the thoughts in Chu Hen's heart. No wonder Rinwei would compensate him with such a valuable and rare item like the Fallen Spirit Talisman. No wonder, when Rinwei left, he told Chu Hen, "Don't stuff yourself to death." It turned out that this was Rinwei's most ruthless ultimate method. He had done something to the Fallen Spirit Talisman. Once Chu Hen encountered danger and used the Fallen Spirit Talisman, his end would be the same as Qi Yuan. Umph! The corners of Chu Hen's mouth curled up in a cold arc that was like a knife. Looks like I made the right bet. What he did not know was that Chu Hen already had suspicions in his heart. Just now, he had deliberately let Qi Yuan take away the Fallen Spirit Talisman in order to test it out. After all, whether it was Qi Yuan or the one-horned Ghost Monkey King, they were not easy to deal with. However, there was only one Fallen Spirit Talisman. Who would he choose to deal with at the critical moment? If Qi Yuan stayed here and did not leave, once he fought with the one-horned Ghost Monkey King, Chu Hen and Luo Mingshang would be affected. Therefore, when Qi Yuan had decided to snatch the Fallen Spirit Talisman, Chu Hen had also made a bold decision in a flash, which was to let the other party snatch the Fallen Spirit Talisman. Qi Yuan, who had obtained the Fallen Spirit Talisman, would naturally choose to get rid of the one-horned Ghost Monkey King first. If there were no problems with the Fallen Spirit Talisman, then the second the one-horned Ghost Monkey King was killed, Chu Hen would not hesitate to use the Demon Eyes Beam of Nirvana on Qi Yuan. He believed that in that situation, there was a high chance of hitting the other party. However, the Fallen Spirit Talisman had truly been tampered with by Rinwei. Qi Yuan, who did not take any precautions, thought himself clever and fell into Chu Hen's trap. At the same time that the Fallen Spirit Talisman killed the Ghost Monkey King, it also caused Qi Yuan to sink into a deep quagmire. You despicable, shameless thing. Qi Yuan, who had his right arm blown off, was both shocked and angry. His face was twisted in anger, and his eyes were scarlet red. He viciously looked at the slowly walking Chu Hen. "I didn't ask you to steal my things," Chu Hen said faintly. His calm eyes faintly revealed a deep indifference. "However, I have to thank you for using yourself as a test. You helped me verify whether the Spirit Fall Talisman was tampered with." "What?" Qi Yuan was even angrier. His eyes emitted a blood-red light. He was enraged and charged at Chu Hen like a wild beast. "Cunning bastard, I will tear you to pieces." However, Qi Yuan was already an arrow at the end of its flight. The power of the Fallen Spirit Talisman had caused damage to his internal organs. Before he finished speaking, Chu Hen's eyes turned cold. Without hesitation, he sent out the demon-punishing spear in his hand. Wunk. The sound of waves in the air was like the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves. The sharp spear tore through the air and pierced through the other party's chest like a holy light. Hiss! Blood splattered. Qi Yuan's pupils shrank to the size of a needle before they began to slacken. Who was the real idiot? Chu Hen's spear thrust was especially resolute. There was no pause or hesitation. Even though the other party was a genius of Imperial Martial Academy, he was still someone he had to kill. Blood continuously flowed from Qi Yuan's mouth. His body trembled, and then he fell to the ground like a pile of mud. Immediately, Chu Hen tore the storage bracelet off Qi Yuan's left hand. He scanned it with his consciousness, and a knowing smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. Swoosh, swoosh. Right at this moment, 3 figures were rushing over here at high speed. Chu Hen frowned. He casually put Qi Yuan's storage bracelet into his own storage ring and hurriedly returned to Luo Mingchang's side. Soon, the 3 figures appeared in front of Chu Hen. These 3 people were none other than the people from Imperial Martial Academy who had accompanied Qi Yuan to use Haozi and Mu Feng. Senior brother Qi Yuan, a young girl holding a long sword, saw Qi Yuan lying on the ground not far away and immediately exclaimed in panic. The other 2 people's expressions also changed dramatically. Looking at the corpse of the one-horned Ghost Monkey King on the other side, the 3 of them were horrified. "You did it!" The cyan-clothed male pointed at Chu Hen and sternly shouted. However, before Chu Hen could even open his mouth, a clear and cold female voice rang out from behind him. I killed him. What? The people present were all stunned. Even Chu Hen was stunned. Then, a beautiful and refined young girl appeared in front of them. Junior sister Meng Chong. The three of them were attracted by the corpses of Qi Yuan and the one-horned ghost Monkey King, but they did not notice that there was another person behind Chu Hen. What made the three of them even more surprised was that this person was actually Luo Mengchong, who was in the same academy as them. Compared to before, the aura that Luo Mengchong exuded had obviously changed, and the invisible temperament that she exuded seemed to have been sublimated once again. Junior sister Mengchong, you said that you killed senior brother Qi Yuan? The man in green frowned and said in a deep voice. Chapter 97. Junior sister Mengchong, you said that you killed senior brother Qi Yuan? Yes. Is there a problem? In the face of the green-robed man's questioning, Luo Mengchong did not hesitate to admit it. Chu Hen, who was at the side, could not help but be stunned. He really did not expect Luo Mengchong to do this. However, the people on the opposite side were naturally suspicious. Luo Mengchong, do you know what the crime of killing a fellow disciple is? The woman holding the long sword shouted coldly. Luo Mengchong raised her eyebrows slightly and looked disapproving. That's in the academy. There are no restrictions outside. The faces of the few people darkened, and the green-robed man lowered his voice a little. Junior sister Mengchong, it's really hard for us to believe that you killed senior brother Qi Yuan for no reason. At the very least, you should give us a reason. He disturbed my practice and almost caused me to lose my mind. Shouldn't I kill him? Luo Mengchong's beautiful eyes flickered. Her unruly and willful expression was especially cute. The few people suddenly had no words to refute. The young woman holding the sword was angry and clenched her fists so tightly that her knuckles were faintly white. In extreme anger, she pulled out her sword and rushed towards Luo Mengchong. Luo Mengchong, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because teacher Hong Lian dotes on you. Today, I will kill you to avenge senior brother Qi Yuan. The sharp sword intent was like a ray of light. The other party's sword thrust was simple and full of killing intent. Chu Hen frowned. This woman's strength was not weak. Just as he was about to intercept her, Luo Mengchong, who was beside him, flashed out like a swallow. Luo Mengchong gently raised her wrist, and a ray of soft silver light lingered on her fair palm like a spring. Then, under the shocked gazes of the few people next to her, Luo Mengchong gently landed her palm on the tip of the other party's sword. Bang! A dull explosion exploded in the air, and the fallen leaves and gravel on the ground were sent flying. Along with an extremely crisp sound, the long sword in the woman's hand broke into more than a dozen pieces. What? Everyone's expression changed. Even Chu Hen's face was filled with astonishment. The scattered true origin energy transformed into a ripple-like ripple. Other than Chu Hen, the three people in front of him were all shaken back a dozen steps. Core transformation stage? The green-clothed man's eyes widened as he blurted out. The other two also widened their eyes in shock. At this moment, although the aura emitted from Luo Mengchong's body was somewhat scattered and not as solid, it was still much stronger than Wu Xiao, who was at the 9th level of the element opening stage. Judging from this, Luo Mengchong had most likely stepped into the core transformation realm. Shock other than shock, there was more shock. Others might not know, but everyone in the Imperial Martial Academy knew very well that Luo Mengchong had entered the Imperial Martial Academy before the age of 15, and it had only been a year since then. Due to her young age, most of them addressed Luo Mengchong as junior sister. Previously, when she was in the Imperial Martial Academy, Luo Mengchong rarely revealed her cultivation base. It was to the extent that only a few people knew what cultivation realm she had reached. But now, she displayed a powerful aura that was not weaker than a core transformation realm cultivator. This really shocked everyone. Such an abnormal innate talent made countless geniuses in the Imperial City blush with shame. No wonder the core instructor of the Imperial Martial Academy, Hong Lian, doted on Luo Mengchong so much. The few of them did not understand, but they felt that it was amazing. Do you guys still want to fight with me? Luo Mengchong said indifferently. The three of them looked at each other, and their faces were very ugly. The green-clothed man glanced at Qi Yuan's corpse not far away and said, "Junior Sister Mengchong, we didn't mean to offend you, so please don't take it to heart. However, we hope you can return the things that Senior Brother Qi Yuan had on him. We risked our lives to obtain them." "Things? What things?" Luo Mengchong asked in confusion. "Junior Sister Mengchong, why are you pretending? The storage bracelet on Senior Brother Qi Yuan's hand is missing. The things inside are very important to us, so we hope Junior Sister Mengchong can return them." After they obtained the Blood Yuan fruit in the valley, they did not have time to divide the spoils before the Ghost Monkey King chased after them. Then the four of them went their separate ways, but the Blood Yuan fruit was still with Qi Yuan. Now that Qi Yuan was dead and the storage bracelet was missing, it was naturally taken by the person who killed him. Luo Mengchong's beautiful eyes rippled slightly. She glanced at Chu Hen beside her and opened her red lips slightly. "I didn't see any storage bracelet, and I didn't take anything from him. Don't make a fuss here." The three of them were a little confused. Since Luo Mengchong dared to admit that she killed Qi Yuan, how could she not admit that she took his things? This was a little unreasonable. However, there were only Luo Mengchong and Chu Hen here. Could it be that Chu Hen took it? The attention of the few of them once again shifted to Chu Hen, but Chu Hen's expression did not change. His eyes were as calm as the water in an ancient well, without the slightest ripple. "If you guys don't leave, don't blame me for being rude." Luo Mengchong frowned slightly, seemingly a little impatient. The expressions of the three of them changed slightly. They gritted their teeth and finally left with Qi Yuan's body. Soon, only Chu Hen and Luo Mengchong were left in the same place. "Why do you want to help me take care of this?" Chu Hen asked in confusion. "Because you helped me." Luo Mengchong blinked her big eyes lightly, and the corners of her small mouth raised slightly. She was very clear that if the Imperial Martial Academy knew that Chu Hen killed Qi Yuan, the Academy's mentor would definitely not let it go. After all, this was a matter of face. Your martial house killed a student of his martial house, which was equivalent to slapping his martial house in the face, so naturally they would not let it go. However, Luo Mengchong was different. Her direct mentor was one of the most authoritative core mentors in the Imperial Martial Academy. Moreover, this was the Sky Lake Mountain Range, not the Academy. Without the constraints of the rules, Luo Mengchong would at most be scolded a few times and receive some small punishment. After all, everyone in the Imperial Martial Academy knew that Mentor Hong Lian doted on Luo Mengchong the most. "Have you really broken through to the core transformation stage?" Chu Hen asked again. Luo Mengchong shook her head slightly. "Not yet, but it will be soon." Chu Hen was clearly startled. Apart from being shocked, he was also struck by a blow. There were really all kinds of abnormal monsters in the Imperial City. Before the fight with the double-headed six-winged python, Luo Mengchong seemed to be above the 8th stage of the element opening stage, but in such a short time, she was already close to the core transformation stage. Such a speed of improvement caused Chu Hen to blush with shame. Chu Hen secretly thought that it seemed that he would have to spend more energy on cultivation in the future. "The sky is getting dark. I have to go first, otherwise I'll be scolded again when I go back." Luo Mengchong looked at the gloomy sky, then waved her little hand at Chu Hen. "See you next time." After saying that, without waiting for Chu Hen to speak again, Luo Mengchong's body moved, and her agile figure disappeared into the forest like a night elf. "See you next time," Chu Hen murmured softly, and a faint smile appeared on his face. The Sky Lake Mountain Range was very dangerous at night. Compared to the day, the degree of danger could only be higher. Chu Hen did not dare to stay here any longer, and with his fastest speed, he headed in the direction of the Tensei Prefecture's headquarters. The sky became gloomier and gloomier. The roars of monsters coming from the depths of the mountain range made one's scalp tingle. At this moment, a dazzling fire swayed in the area in front of him, and Chu Hen's heart lit up. He clearly saw that it was a team of people from the Tensei Prefecture led by Zumo Minter Zumo. Chu Hen rushed forward. "Senior Brother Chu Hen, he is there." Li Hui, Who was behind Zwa Mo? Shouted in surprise. Zwa Mo's eyebrows also relaxed, but when he saw Chu Hin coming in front of him, he could not help but reprimand. I made it clear that I must rush back before evening. What time is it now? Chu Hin smiled a little embarrassedly. Sorry, Minter Zwa Mo, I have a problem. I have caused trouble for everyone. This time, I will let it go on the account that you are helping your companions, but if you dare to violate the rules again, I will not let you off easily. Zwa Mo already knew the cause and effect of the matter, and he also knew that Chu Hin had gone to rescue Mu Feng and Haozi, so he did not scold him anymore. How is Haozi? Chu Hin asked. He is fine now, senior brother Chu Hin, Li Hui replied, and said, That's good. Chu Hin could finally put down the huge stone in his heart. All right, go back. When Chu Hin followed Zwa Mo and the others back to the headquarters, the sky was completely dark, in a big tent with a dome. You guys are back. Zhou Lu looked happy when she saw Chu Hin and Li Hui enter the tent. Not far away, Mu Feng also stood up. Chu Hin nodded, and his eyes looked straight at Haozi, who was lying on the bed. Haozi's entire body was wrapped in thick bandages. When he saw Chu Hin return, he grinned, but his small eyes were filled with great shame. Junior brother Chu Hin, I have caused trouble for you. Chu Hin let out a soft sigh of relief. It's okay, senior brother Haozi. This is not your fault. When he heard this, Mu Feng's heart skipped a beat, and his small eyes darted around. Then, he tiptoed and prepared to escape from this place. Try and run. Believe it or not, I will break your legs. Chu Hin coldly shouted. Zhou Lu and Li Hui also glared at Mu Feng angrily. If it wasn't for this guy forcing Haozi to cooperate with those people from Imperial Martial Academy, Haozi wouldn't have been injured like this. Hit anywhere, just don't hit my face. Mu Feng had a yes-man appearance. I originally thought you were pretending to be muddle-headed, but I didn't expect you to actually be muddle-headed, Chu Hin said. I also didn't expect the people from Imperial Martial Academy to be so shameless. Ranked first in the Imperial City, how can their reputation and character be so bad? Mu Feng was also gnashing his teeth in hatred. Forget it, let's not talk about it anymore. Be more careful in the future. Chu Hin was too lazy to continue discussing this matter. With a wave of his palm, a few sparkling and translucent red fruits appeared in his hand. Blood Yuan fruit.